All right. And we are live. The last word, LordCognito, Ebontis, Ty Guy Travis, fresh on the culmination of a 10-year saga. This game, the final shape. We are here, y'all. And we're dressed for the occasion. Let's talk with the
That's right.
cheetah. Let's talk with the cheetah first. Ebontis, good to see you. Not that long ago.
Yes, I
How are you
know.
doing now, sir?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, I played with Travis yesterday, actually. I know you were hanging out at my house for a few days previous week, so I know we didn't have a podcast in the first week of Final Shape, but I feel like we've still been talking enough that it doesn't feel quite as long. So it's been good. It's been very busy. It's been awesome. That what we hoped for seems to have plane has landed quite smoothly and happily, and we'll get into all the details. I don't want to go into too much right now, but it's been a whole bunch of Destiny, and then on Sunday and Monday I played one other game called Sworn. It is an action roguelike, kind of isometric. The art is done by the comic artist who did Hellboy, actually, and then it's based in the world of like Camelot and King Arthur and Knights of the Round Table. So actually, it's right now the demo's on Steam Next Fest, and there's 2 biomes that you can go through. But between all the customization and upgrades and things that you can get through, there's a lot of ways to play. There's 4 characters, 4 weapons per character, and also 4 spells per character, plus all the upgrades you get as you progress through. It's a really fun one, so if you like roguelikes, highly recommend it. But that aside, all Destiny, not sleeping much. Didn't do much of the raids. We will talk to Travis more about that one because I was working on other things. And outside of that, Travis, sir, I know you've been busy.
Oh yeah, I've been busy almost exclusively with Destiny since the moment it came out. I've played for I think over 100 hours at this point. You know, been going real hard on it. I beat the raid, beat all the content in the expansion, exotic quests, secret stuff. I got Kostov kind of accidentally, fully upgraded my subclass, got through the campaign, all 3 characters, and did the raid. I said that already. What else did I do? Oh yeah, I also did the seasonal content, which has been really interesting. 2 seasonal activities we've got this season, which is pretty cool. So yeah, it's been a whirlwind of Destiny, and I'm glad to be back. And I just want to take a moment to congratulate all of the Destiny players for their loyalty over the years, because I wrote in my review in the opening paragraph that it's been sort of a leap of faith for us, because I think we've all known the potential of Destiny since the very beginning. And it's really, this is the first time I felt like they have really fulfilled a lot of that, right? A lot of that potential.
Man, tears right now. I'm feeling good.
So congrats to the players for hanging in there through good times and bad. Congrats to the team at Bungie. If anybody there is watching, man, kudos to you guys. You guys blew it out of the water. And we'll talk about the content game, but I've just been playing a whole bunch of it, and I'm excited to.
You mute? We lost you. Travis, we lost you.
Want me?
Oh. No, he's back. He's back. He's back. Okay.
You were just, we didn't hear you for a second.
We lost a sentence. We lost the sentence before you hear me.
All right. Well, I don't know what I was saying, but I'm excited to talk about Destiny.
No worries, we'll get to that. Yeah, Cog, how about you?
Oh man, what a whirlwind,
You've been
man! The last
real busy since I saw you.
Last 2.5 weeks has been pure travel, just so much stuff going on. Able to sneak in campaign of Destiny before my last trip after seeing you, and you know, doing Legendary and battling the dreaded server that day. It was pretty rough.
There was some of that for a few hours.
It's pretty rough.
Crazy.
Shout out to my man.
Whole day for me. That whole
bro, I had one full day to try to get as much done, and I'm thinking at max I'll take about 6 hours, you know, to get everything done from the campaign perspective. But I was battling, man, battling codes, weasels, and
it was
all
like
type
10
of things.
PM. It was like 10 or 11 at night when they finally. I played through about the first 3 or 4 missions, kind of, and then I got to the point where I was going to load into a zone. I was like, I'm going to go do a couple bounties while I'm waiting on something to get better. Couldn't even load a destination, so I was like, all right, let me not do that. Let me go do something productive, like walk the dogs or work out a little bit or anything. And then came back and finally was just like checking on the servers, and then finally it was like 11. I got through, I think the 4th or something.
Yeah, so I think I tried for like 2 hours, and then as soon as I realized it was going to be one of those days, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for a jog and walk around and hang out. And I had a great day, and I came back late at night and I logged on and it was working perfectly. And I was like, I made the right call. I dipped out of there after because I saw people still struggling with it. Like my buddy Alex was like, "I've done the second mission 3 times and it keeps crashing at
Bro,
the end." And I
Yeah,
can't
I
play
mean,
it. And I
people
was
were
like,
missing
"Nah,
cinematics,
I'm
I
not here
heard.
for
bro, I
that."
missed cinematics. I missed the cinematic after the Zavala return to home kind of thing,
Oh,
and I didn't even
man.
know it was there. So I was just like, yeah, but I had no choice. I had to power through because the next day was going to be a flight. So I'm just like,
Yeah,
you know,
you had no
I had no choice. So it was a 2 or 3 in the morning. Shout out to Center, shout out to Papa Dom. Everyone who was asking, yo, how did you get in? So that was that. But yeah, then obviously, you know, the I felt so like regretful because now I'm at Summer Games Fest and then I know the raid's going on Friday and I'm like, so I did everything in my power to stay spoiler free. And shout out to Sin, shout out to everybody. And what ends up happening, I have to tell this story really quick, which is probably the coolest thing I've ever seen my community and my clan do. I stay spoiler free. I wake up on Saturday. I get a text from 2 people who have been very angry with Destiny over the years. One has been Lord Attic, and the second is Kaibatu. And all it says in my text is, Bungie fucking did it. Excuse my language. So I'm like, what is going on? Like, why are people going crazy? So in my mind, I'm like, the raid, okay, cool. They concluded the story there or whatever. And they're like, when is your flight back? And I'm like, okay. And then Sunday happens. Then Monday happens. And as my flight comes back Monday, my entire clan, they were like, we're ready for you. Let's go. I'm like, what are you talking about? And that's when I learned about Incision. And I was completely blown away. And we'll get into it. But I just want to say, like, that was one of the most special moments to see we literally filled out the servers for Incision, the said activity.
It's
and I
Excision.
didn't, whatever, Excision, excuse me. And I was just like, man, this is amazing what I am seeing and something that I've always wanted Destiny to do. And we'll get into the rest of it. But I will say, grown man tears for me. You know,
Same.
it's like your child, and you know you love it, but I didn't want to be a prisoner of the moment because I know how much I feel about it. But to see people who I know don't care about the way I care about it was just like, wow. So we'll get into it. So there's a lot to discuss, and then obviously Travis puts the cherry on the sundae for a lot of people in the realm. So
Yeah.
let's talk about it, man. Let's get to it.
I do want to talk about it because the story in particular, in my review in progress, I was saying, look, I think the 7 mission campaign is solid and it tells like a almost complete story, right? It kind of gets up right into the end and then leaves it off. But I had a lot of doubt that there was going to be able to be one mission that tied everything up because by the end of the 7th mission, you still haven't done anything, right? There's absolutely no conclusion anywhere in sight to the end. And so the fact that they did it with that Excision mission and the that 8th story quest,
Mm.
I think what I underestimated is how easy it is to give people some sort of conclusion because I think we were overcomplicating it. Before the expansion came out, we were all saying like, how are they going to tie up all these loose ends and how are they going to make us feel like it's an actual ending while also keeping us moving forward? And we had all these like really like, oh, I just think the story is too bloated and complicated for them to possibly pull this off. And when it came down to it, they just focused on the basics, right? They were just like, look, this is about the Traveler and the Witness, mostly the Witness, to be honest. We don't hear a whole lot from the Traveler, but it's about the 3 friends, the main characters you've had through most of the story, plus Crow, kind of a very recent addition. It's about you and your relationship with your ghost, and it's about finally confronting the Witness. And I think they really wisely kind of just like put aside all the bullshit and said like you can focus on like what this character and that character and this story thread are doing later. Let's just conclude the thing that we said we were going to conclude 10 years ago, right? Let's like finish that and give them some finality where like the world has changed and it's different. And I think I fell prey to just like being a little too close to the tree to see the forest, you know. And I just yeah, I think it ended up being way simpler of a story and very much like focused on one specific thing. And I think that was the right choice. And that ending felt like an ending to that story. So
Mhm.
I have a lot of thoughts on Zavala. I do
Me
think
too.
I
Me
don't
too. I got a
know
lot
if
of
we're ready
thoughts.
for that part because it is
Mhm.
one of my biggest criticisms of the
Mhm.
expansion. But
Mhm.
yeah, I just want to say that part, to your point, Cog, the
Yeah.
excision I think was like strangely simple, but they did exactly the stuff they needed to. Like every scene that they focused on was the thing that they needed to focus on to finish that very specific story thread that they were trying to close off. And I think they crushed it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And a
Absolutely.
fair warning for everybody for listening to this. We are doing spoilers. We're not holding
Yeah.
back. We're
We're not
talking
holding
about
back.
everything. So
Mhm.
if you haven't played through, seen the end of 7, Raid, Excision, whatever you want, just heads up, we're going to cover everything. So I just wanted to get that out
Mhm.
of the way as we were talking about stuff. No, I mean, same with
Yeah.
me. I mean, we can talk about Excision at least because we're there now. As it was over the weekend, I was watching. I mean, they rated one team beat it. Like, I don't know how many teams beat it in contest mode, but it was not one team. First 24 hours, I think one team beat it. And
Yeah.
then, they started trickling a few more across the finish line. But it was one of the hardest raids. It was the official longest raid.
I can
Mm.
verify it's one of the hardest raids. Oh my
Wow.
god, dude. I
Yeah.
got my
Wow.
butt kicked. I mean,
Yeah.
Mechanic heavy.
I beat a Root of Nightmare, I think in like 10 hours. Like it was like that's like long. Actually, you know what? I think it was really short. I think I beat it 10 hours after it came out, but we started like 5 hours late. So it might have taken me like 5 hours to beat the raid. And I'm used to doing them blind too. But dude, that raid was crazy. I was doing
Mhm.
it for like 20 hours without stopping, and it was brutal, man. It was brutal. I didn't end up beating it in contest mode, but yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like I saw Astacross streamed for 36 hours straight. Data was, I think, a little
Yeah.
ahead of him in the finish.
Mhm.
It wasn't Salto Greppo get the win this time. It was a different kind of more unknown team that I saw get the
I'm
win.
down. I love
Uh,
that.
Mhm.
but it was that happened, and
It got real
then,
too.
because I went to bed, I was like, man, I wonder if it's gonna be. I wonder if I can go to sleep, and it felt like they were stuck, and it's like it's the
Yeah.
hardest encounter. It's like from what I've heard. And then I woke up, and I woke up at like 7 on whatever Saturday that was. And then I pretty much opened my phone, saw that somebody beat it, and I walked in here, booted up the game, and then was able to jump in just about as fresh as it could have been. Like, no
Mhm.
spoilers, no nothing. And I actually got to see it about as fresh as possible. And I
Mhm.
booted it up, and it was just like, oh, new mission, played it. And yeah, I got to the end. It's like, and I know it's stupid. I've told you guys, like, movies can make me cry. It's like, it's not like the hardest thing in the world to do because sometimes just emotions and I get choked up or whatever. But it got me. It absolutely did. I even went to go show my wife later. I was like, put it on the speakers, kind of showed her what the cinematic was in that moment. And I even started to get choked up again. I was like, damn it. I was like, I even know what's happening right now. And it happened again. And it was. I mean, as you said, it was a leap of faith that we've been falling for 10 years. We've had some bumps in the road, some ups, some downs, some Taken Kings, some Witch Queens, some Light Falls, and some Seasons of Worthy. We've had it pretty much every variation in the middle. And for that to be how it ended, to have everybody come together, to have you use your ghost and the light of your ghost and the pain. And that is one of the thing I will say, like the voice acting through the whole damn thing has been absolutely on fire to just about everybody, to be like the pain you experience, like hearing Marasov in the beginning actually feels
Yes.
scared. That was crazy out of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
gate. But just
Mhm.
hearing your ghost like kind of groan and then fall, it's like,
Yeah.
dude, I didn't think it was going to happen. And then couldn't have done it better. Could not have chosen a better way to handle the walk up and the discussion. And it was, what are the 4? Because they talk about them. The 4 Guardian, the Sacrifice,
And it's
Death.
yeah.
I forget the other 2, but some of you guys would know. But one of them, Sacrifice, and I was like, there you go.
Mhm.
So no, like the Excision mission, I'm kind of with you guys. I did not know how it was going to come together. The cinematic after the final boss, which we'll talk about too, was well done. But then the way the cinematic started when you logged back in after the raid, I was like, oh, this
Yeah.
is your in game coming through
Yes.
the portals, calling on everybody. Everybody's coming in, and I mean the whole list was
The
there.
whole
Everybody was
gang.
there, and you saw Savathun flying in. She's talking. Don't ever tell you didn't help. He smashes open a door at
Wow.
one point. I was like, this is what we had been waiting on, and they freaking delivered. And I was devotion, bravery, sacrifice, death. That's it. Thank
Death.
you.
Mhm.
and it was just like, damn, they actually did it. And because we'd been joking about the Avengers moment for, I swear, since you've been on the
Yes.
show,
We knew it was
Travis.
gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we knew that moment.
It's like, I feel like since you've been here, since we've been talking about the possibility of, oh, we got these allies now and these allies now, calling on them all. It was
As
crazy.
soon as we saw the Smolin and Beyond Light, I think that's when we were like,
Yeah,
we're
feels
gonna
like
become
there's
friends with all of our enemies, right? We're gonna
Yep.
become friends with the Fallen, the Cabal, which was
Yeah.
great. And
And
even
no-
by the way, the Hive got in there. Really, the
Yep.
Vex are
Yeah,
the only holdout
yeah.
right now, which I'm
Yeah.
kind of surprised. I feel like the Vex there was an easy way to get there, right? They almost were alluding to it even with the with old man Smithers.
Shout out to
Yeah, so,
my
yeah.
man. But yeah,
And
no, I'm with you.
I was just gonna say, and I was like, the ending was great, so now we can rewind all the way back to the beginning of the campaign when you actually got to
Yes.
jump in. Final Shape launched outside of server issues, which we knew those were gonna happen. They didn't quite hit their highest concurrent players. I think they were maybe a few thousand short for their peak
How could they?
on Steam. But that's
Yeah.
right. Like with the
Yeah.
with the server issues, they couldn't. If the server issues would have been fine, they would have passed it on Steam easily, much less on consoles. So there's going to be an asterisk next to that like peak number for quite a long time,
I think
I'm sure.
they shot themselves in the foot a little bit with that, and I get it. Like, this stuff is hard, but yeah, dude, it really, I feel like it took the wind out of a lot of people's sails, which is really unfortunate, especially with how good it ended up being. Because I feel like if people started logging on right away and were like, dude, this is great. This is great. I feel like it would have had a lot of momentum, and instead you saw people for like the first 2 or 3 days being like, it doesn't even work. There are bugs too, by the way. There's a lot of bugs in this.
A lot of bugs.
Yeah, I actually just kind of experienced one weird one, but yeah, it's not.
Yeah, and the visibility in the towers and stuff like that. And,
Yep.
But yeah, no, I just wanted to add on. I think, you know, for me, it was one of those things that we've all alluded to, that grand moment and you know, almost that Avengers Endgame kind of thing. But for them to actually execute it with the vocal delivery, and let's just be real, I want to shout out my man Papa Dom, who was going to say, he said what I was about to say, which is, you know, I have a different take on Keith David. I absolutely loved his portrayal of Zavala. And I found myself jarred at first with the first couple of hours, just getting used to him, right? Getting used to the new, right? It was very different. So, but as it went on, and I know we're going to get into review and stuff, I do want to say that I know the writing probably was already set for Zavala to take this kind of action, right? So, in fairness to Lance, we won't know what that performance would have been. Right.
And I was like, I do want to say, I was like, man, I wish we could have heard what that would have been. That's right. That's a piece of
fairness.
It. But...
So because this, I guess it's a combination of this direction that Zavala takes as a character in conjunction with now hearing Keith David do it, just kind of blew me away. And then, like, to your point, what is it? It's Excision, right? It's the name of the mission?
Yep.
I'm butchering it. It's Excision. You know,
excising something.
Excising something. So when I get that, you know, Avengers scene when he's rallying the troops and all of us are there, that is something I have always wanted in the history of Destiny. I've always wanted it to feel like we are all together and part of it. And the other thing that they've done really well is something that Attic complains about a lot, which is actually seeing them on the battlefield with you during the moments, right? That adds emotional weight. Like, I just can't describe it on any level. And for Bungie to, I don't know how this engine did this. I'm just going to be, I have to give them, they did a 12-player activity with NPCs on the screen with mechanics and allowed us to fight and finish the witness. And let's be real, they could have easily done something lesser and let it conclude in the raid, right? And then the story mission afterwards would just be the aftermath. They allowed the public to have that moment, which I
think they had to. I think it would have been
so good.
Different if
so
you felt
good.
like suddenly you weren't the main character and that somebody else killed the raid boss for you and all that. So I think they had to.
Even the way they tied it in before Excision, where they like a 6-man team went out and set up this moment for us, like the poll, like they set it up beautifully. And then obviously the elephant in the room is Cade 6. I didn't realize how much I missed Nathan Fillion.
Me neither.
I didn't realize how much Destiny sometimes takes itself way too seriously. And he is that guiding hand to bring it back to reality. The one-liners, the jokes, so many throughout the campaign, and obviously the special thing that was done to hand the torch. But I'm done rambling because I just want to talk. I want to get those moments off, but I really want to hear about Travis because I really want to hear his review.
Yeah.
Good.
So let me first I'll start with the stuff that I liked about the story, which is
Oh, that's fine.
pretty much everything. Like, here's the things that I think they succeeded at that I
Mhm.
was really surprised with. The
Mhm.
Witness actually being a good villain.
I'm
I was
surprised
like
at this with you.
I was like the most pessimistic about that because there was very little build up. Us hearing the origin story of the Witness and it being an amalgamation of one species, I was not sold on. I said on this podcast that I was unsatisfied by that answer of like what the
Remember.
Witness is, right? But I think we all agree that Lightfall wasn't supposed to be what it ended up being, right? And so
Right.
I think they found themselves in the unenviable position of having to extend and like drip feed plot points that they had already
Right.
decided to put into the final shape, right? They had to like give you some of that because there was this extra year. And so I think they explained the Witness using this other seasonal cutscene as like a stopgap measure to give people something, dedicated
Mhm.
players. And I think it's very clear that that was not the way that plot point was originally intended to be delivered to the player, because the way they do it in the campaign is way more impactful. Whether they're talking about, you know, the my favorite mission, the Descent, right? The Dissenters was crazy,
Oh,
where
Yep.
you're
yes,
finding
yes.
out about that there's people in there that didn't want to be a part of it, and they're like kind of undermining it. You find out what the veiled statues are. That was a huge payoff. I love the Witness as a villain, and I was
Wow.
so down on the Witness before, so that alone was huge.
Wait, I gotta back you up. I can't let you just go off with that because I know
Sure.
how much you hate the Witness.
Oh no,
Brian.
he's got to make
So
you
I did.
repeat it
no,
over and
no,
over to make sure and like
no.
just rub it in.
Stop your mouth. Stop it. That's not where I'm going. That's not where I'm going. See, you're wrong. So where I'm going is I need to know the key moment when it changed for you. See, for me, it was his vocal tone and that, and then obviously the dissenters. But when was it for you that he became a dope villain? That's what I'm curious about.
Yeah. So I started to get it once I realized that this was just like Lilith, right? It's the typical like seducer villain, the one that wants to give you something, who's trying to
Yes, yes,
convince you
yes.
that their worldview is right.
Correct,
That
correct.
to me is like a more compelling villain than like the Ooga Booga. I'm a big scary guy who wants to kill everyone. It
Mhm.
wasn't really like that, right? And its approach to every single Vanguard member, and to you to a little extent, it was to basically try to tempt you like, hey, look, it's not that bad. Do you want to keep fighting
Right,
forever? All
right,
I'm saying is like pick where you want to be, and that's going to be it forever, because the whole
right.
idea of like change is a bad. And I think there's some, you kind of see them try to do it. I think they fail on some of them, which we'll
Mhm.
get to. They try to show that like some that how that is tempting, right? To be
Right.
like in your favorite or most triumphant moment forever and just kind of being remembered that way.
Mhm.
And I think it speaks to people's fear of change, and that is possibly being a negative thing. I hold the
Mhm.
opposite worldview. I think change is always good,
Mhm.
because I'm a bit of an anarchist. But yeah, the I think that got me there. And then once I
Okay.
saw the cutscene of the Witness being created, for some reason that just hit me
That hit
way harder
with the
than getting the like description of it, because I got a description
yes.
of it and it was like, okay, that doesn't really make sense to me. But seeing them all slump over
Flip
Yeah.
and like
over?
come into it, I was like, bro, this is crazy.
Yeah,
Like
this
Bro,
this is
is
so different.
so different
Um,
and uncomfortable. Yes.
I'll still say this, like, I think the campaign is not as strong as Witch Queen moment to moment. I
I will
still
give you
think
that.
Witch Queen is their best story, because Witch Queen had a compelling villain from start to finish. It didn't take me time to grow on it.
Mhm.
And you got two plot twists that were really out of nowhere. This one doesn't
Yeah.
really have any twists, right? It's
Right.
kind of straightforward. It's like the Witness is here. We know exactly what it wants,
Mhm.
and we need to take it down. And the journey to get there is a lot of fun. And I think it has other strengths that Witch Queen doesn't have at all. Like
Mhm.
it's, you know, the dread and prismatic and some of the stuff that I think Witch Queen was missing. But
Mhm.
I think the story was way better than I was expecting. And as an ending, I
Mhm.
think I think it
Bro,
worked really well.
all we did was
Uh
scratch him at the end. That was ill to me.
I
I like
also
that. Mhm.
love, and I cannot believe I did not predict this. I
What?
love the reason Cade came back.
Yes.
I didn't see that coming. I'll be
mm,
honest. I was like, oh, you know, it's in the Traveler, so it must be an afterlife or whatever. But when you find out the actual reason why Cade is back, I was like, duh. It was
yeah,
right there in front of
I
me.
know.
Like if the players themselves had one wish, what would they wish for? You know what I mean? Like, it's literally the most like obvious reason. So that was super surprising to me. I did catch on to it before Crow said it. I caught on to it when it showed Cade getting pulled out because the tentacles were very clearly Ahamkara tentacles, right? So I was like, oh, it's from that. But like the fact that I didn't predict this a year ago when we found out Cade was coming back, I was really kicking myself. I was like, duh, of course that's how it happened. That's the only thing that makes sense. And I think the ultimate sacrifice that they make at the end is really cool and has a nice symmetry to it and is great. Now I'm going to talk about the stuff I don't like.
Yeah, what you didn't like?
I don't think the campaign handles very well at all. All the points where you're actually seeing the characters get tempted by the witness, and I think that is where my big issue is, because who is the most vulnerable in the Vanguard emotionally and has a history of being seduced by the witness? Crow, easily the most vulnerable. We see the Crow get tempted and then not take the deal off screen. It happens before we even get there, and they seem to go through absolutely no stress or conflict before that happens, right? You get there and he's like, yeah, I promised me my own kingdom, promised me my sister's affection, I didn't take it, lol. That's like all you get from it, right? Ikora is kind of the same thing. We never really even hear what Ikora wanted, and she seems to have come out unscathed, right? Totally fine. And then the one character that we think would have the least conflict because he's been the most dedicated to travel forever breaks without really any sort of like expectation, like any setup. I don't think it was earned at all, right? And then their character kind of changes
Don't you
completely.
think it's okay? So here's a question.
Yeah.
Do you think it started to get earned though back in Witch Queen? When he realized that the Traveler had given light to the Hive, he questioned so much about what the Traveler was, why the light was given, and I feel like that seed of doubt about the Traveler, the light, purpose, and all of that stuff was it's like that's, and I think that, like, for me, when you said it perfectly, because when it came to the simple focus, Ikora, Zavala, Cade, Crow, the Vanguard transition obviously is very cool how he hands that piece off, but those characters were simple. So it's like Crow, as you said, was a bit of an outsider. We got a little more focus on Cade. Ikora could have had more time on her as well. But being
so I think they were forced into a corner, and that they had to choose Zavala to have the Crisis of Faith because Ikora has never really had any character development, so they can't really do anything with her, right? She has no real like backstory to work with. Crow has already been, we've already gone through that, right? With the whole Uldren transformation. He's been focused on by seasons. Cade is dead. Doesn't really make sense. Also kind of a joke character, right? And then you're a non-speaking character and we don't know what you want. So
actually, we spoke a couple times. I was pleased to hear that.
We did, but let's be honest, there's no character there, right? Your character isn't a character.
You are a vessel, yes, but it was nice to hear our voice occasionally, that's all.
And so I think that they were forced into Zavala, and I definitely think the Crisis of Faith was set up. But a Crisis of Faith is very different from completely going loose cannon emotional rogue who leaves your ghost behind and goes on a death march because the witness that you said you hated the whole time, who uses the darkness, said, I'll let you be in the final shape with your dead girlfriend forever, right? It is quite a leap. And I would say that I think that entire arc is forced because they needed, I get what they needed. They needed that beat, right? Where like, okay, the witness actually there might be something to their its argument. There might be this person who like turns on the group. I just think that they didn't set it up well, and the execution of how quickly he went from, I'm worried about us being on the right path to I'm going to go on a death march to embrace the darkness was pretty jarring. And so I think that specific arc did not work for me at all. And it's even more like, even if you agree that even if you think, yes, it was earned and Zavala's crisis was earned, which you can totally think that, I think you're being a little more charitable than maybe you should be. But even if you do think
someone didn't play Season of the Haunted enough, but it's okay.
I played it. And I remember, I know that they set that up, but
Mhm.
you're telling me that
Mhm.
Zavala, who's dealt with that loss for hundreds of years or
Mhm.
thousands, however many it's been, right,
Mhm.
is less insulated against influence than Crow,
No, I
who
think
who
okay, I'll
who
let you
got
finish.
over it in a footnote, like
Right.
in a side, like you don't even see it happen, dude. It's crazy that everyone else is tested and immediately is like, nope, not a problem for me. Crow, the guy who is Uldren, who's already fallen for the Witnesses stuff once,
Mhm.
no problems at all. And
Mhm.
then Zavala, the guy that we know we can rely on forever, not only has a crisis of faith, but
Mhm.
acts in a way that is completely counter to his character in the most stark and jarring way possible. I get why they had to go there. I just
Mhm.
don't think that they earned it. And it was a real weird
Mhm.
section of the game where you're kind of like, what is this? Like this doesn't really
Mm.
gel with anything that we know, and it's inconsistent with it. Look, if they had every character go through something like that, like every mission was like, oh, the Crow's being tested and almost
Right.
fell, Ikora's being tested and almost fell,
But do you
and then
feel
you
like
get
that
to
also would have
Zavala.
been repetitive? It's like, here's another one, here's another one, because we've
Yeah,
been through
Right.
that in seasons before. Where
I,
it's like,
I get it. I totally get what you're saying, that like it doesn't make sense, but like
I basically look at it as he's
they
looking
got
at
off for
them.
free. Yeah.
I feel like his thing was y'all have this blind faith in this thing, and I am actually challenging you guys. There's a scene between him and Ikora, and he's just like, look, you're just saying all that because you're afraid about what's going to happen to me. I think that was one of the more like he completely checked her. That he was like, they were like, what about having faith in the Traveler? What about having faith in me and the fire? He's like, no, I don't have faith in y'all no more. Like he started to realize like what this y'all gonna do to beat this is not going to work, and he ends up being right. So for me, I understand your point. You looking at it like he was this solid pillar of strength that he's probably the least likely to break. I didn't look at it as a solid break then. I saw his character folded and his faith already shattered from before. So we got to the moment of truth. He was like, look, why don't we embrace this thing with the darkness and see what this can do? Because everything else with the Traveler, I'm not feeling right now.
Yeah.
And like he completely discharged. He went off on his own. Like I could understand your point where it did feel jarring at some point because we're not used to seeing Zavala act like this. But I looked at it as a person who was just like, okay, you know what? Everything we've done to this part is not working. We have to do something different. That's how I internalize it. But I
Yeah,
get where
so
you're going.
I can totally
Mhm.
see, and you're right, he was right? And that
Mhm.
I think as the player at that point, you go like, yeah, these statues are a little sus. We should investigate them. But the way that he did it was the most not Zavala way ever, right? Like not
Just
bringing his
going into it.
ghost, going alone,
Yeah.
saying to his family. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, if you actually thought the witness had a point, wouldn't they be the first people you'd go to? I'm just saying we were missing a beat, right?
I
There
feel
was a
like it
beat.
could be a
There
little
was
bit
a
more. I could
there
give you
was a
that.
beat that we needed where he was like, look, I think we should go embrace the darkness, and then Ikora and whoever else says like, no, like Zavala, you're being stupid, right? And we kind of didn't get that. We got him
That's fair enough.
running off and then us chasing after him like, oh no,
Right.
what are you doing? And it came
Like
sort of out
one
of
more
nowhere.
beat in between that to
yeah,
get there.
Yeah,
And
and
like one,
that
I could
literally
see,
one
yeah.
more mission to kind of
Yeah,
develop
I
they
the
needed
I
one
think
more
that's
they
develop
needed
fair.
the
one
I
more
think
turn.
that's
mission
fair.
to get me there, and they
Yeah.
didn't do it. And just it's so it goes from kind of 0 to
To
11
100.
so
Yeah, I
fast.
got you. I got
But I
you.
was just like, all right, dude,
I got
like
you.
Zavala's going crazy right now. Which is
Mhm.
crazy. So
I was
Fair.
like, I will
That's
say
fair.
it felt a little surprising to know that all of a sudden we are going to chase Zavala to figure out what's happening.
I
That
love
did
that
kind
mission.
of no, it was like good mission. Don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
but it was in the cinematic at the end of that mission when you're going after him.
great.
I literally
So
just
good.
went, "Holy dude!" Like I mean, I might have cursed live. I don't even know, but I was just like,
Mhm.
I mean, it was damn near snap worthy. It was close, and it was just going, "Oh, okay," which
Yeah.
made the Excision cinematic even better.
Oh,
By the way,
better.
so
Yes.
cool. Apparently he
Mhm.
like schools really quickly because you learn that
Yes.
stuff in like 45 minutes, but that's totally fine, and I'm fine with it.
Yeah, he just went to the pyramid and stood in front
And
of
just boop.
the statue, right? That's what we
Yeah,
did.
that's what. Yeah, it's true. Talk to
Yeah.
Elsie. Go over there. I think there's this thing.
Yeah.
You go. You go commune with the darkness, and you're good.
You're
Yeah.
good, yeah.
No, it's like Zavala for me was interesting. I think I was missing Lance a little too much during it. Like, truly nothing against Keith David. I don't think you could have picked a better person to fill Lance's shoes. Truly don't. For me, it was occasional moments to where it sounded like he got closer to Lance's voice. And then there were other times it was like, this is just Keith David. So there were times where I felt a little inconsistency. I was like, it was leaning more towards of how Zavala's slow kind of cadence delivery and stuff. And there were other times it just sounded like the Keith David I've heard in other things, just straight up talking. Now, I mean, when Keith David had the time, was you said we checked.
When he checked out,
when he did that to Ikora, I was like, okay, that hit well. Like that was delivered well. But it was just the overall for me. But also, I don't think it could have been anybody else. Because, I mean, it's kind of like, if it was Crow, we've been through this roller coaster before. We don't need to do it again. If it's Ikora...
100%, I 100% understand how they got to Zavala.
Right, yeah.
I get it.
I was like, if it was like, Ikora's always been, you don't want to piss off Ikora, she's going to Nova Bomb your ass. That's what she does, and she did it again, by the way.
Ikora has got a pretty rough... Like, I feel sorry for her character, because her character has just been...
Yeah, it's just been...
Yeah, she hasn't been as much of a focus.
She has no arc whatsoever in the Destiny franchise. And I think that's a pretty big failing. But I do think they wrote themselves into a corner where it could only be Zavala. And I think that's kind of a problem for them, given who Zavala's character is. And so I get why it happened, but I've kind of said my piece on it. And again, there's some people in the comments who are like, Travis hated the campaign. I did not hate the campaign.
He just
I loved the campaign. I am doing what critics do, which is I'm saying I liked it, and here are the things that didn't work for me. I still think overall it was great. Even if I feel like
it's your nitpicks. It's a critique. Nitpicks. That's fine. Again, finish your thought.
No, it's just like as you progress through, it was like it was hearing from Tarj. It was seeing the moments. I mean, I kept playing through this thing thinking, I don't know if the cinematics in this expansion are more in total, I swear, than what we've had for almost the past 9 years.
I couldn't believe
quality, the cinematics we had, the length of them, like back-to-back ones at some point, and then the dialogue in-game that would follow afterwards that just kind of extended it. The so much character interaction and just like the emotions that were delivered in these little moments that I'm sitting there going, this is exactly what I was hoping for the whole way through. I mean, as you said, like nitpicks where there's voices here, there, or that was a bit of a jump for Zavala, but just so many beats as you went through.
How about the fact that Crow's ghost is the most annoying ghost to ever exist? Dude, anytime he was talking, I was like, dude, if this was my ghost, I would just crush my ghost and be mortal again. Screw that. Like, dude, he sucks. I honestly didn't think there could be a more annoying ghost than our ghost, but he is way worse.
You hate Glint.
Dude, he's like an ex-girlfriend that you broke up with, and she still wants to like hang out with you. Where are you going? Why are you going out with your friends? Like, it's like, dude, we're not together anymore. Get out of here. No, dude, he was so annoying every moment, dude. Glint sucks. Glint sucks, dude. He sucks so bad. On the other hand, though, Tarj was amazing.
I like Tarj. I like Tarj.
I'm sad that our ghost is the second worst ghost, because every ghost we've hung out with in every campaign, whether it's the Hive ghost that we meet, that's played by the Goku.
That's the Goomba ghost.
Yeah, that guy. That guy's super cool. I like Osiris's ghost was amazing. Zavala's ghost is amazing, and then our ghost is like pretty annoying. And then Glint's ghost, I feel like, exists to make us feel better about our ghost, because Glint sucks, dude. Glint is the worst.
I gotta re-listen to it.
Where are you going, Crow? Why are you not talking to me? It's like, dude, shut up. Like what?
Wow. I gotta re-listen to him now.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't pick up. I didn't take that.
Oh,
that
dude,
way.
replay it. Replay the missions with Crow, dude. Glint is the worst, dude.
What I wanted to say is
Sundance,
that,
Sundance too.
Yeah, Sundance had a moment. Yeah, for me, I think that also that I want to give them their props over Witch Queen is, first of all, these skyboxes that they're doing in this game were absolutely amazing to me. Some of the mission design,
Mission one was beautiful. For one, you have I'm trying to think of the right word for all of that collapsing onto one point. But the point where you're walking on the light that appears on those little platforms, I was like, I saw somebody tweet it. I think maybe while I was playing, somebody's like, Anybody looking for the Game Awards for art? Like, yo, check
what's
this
up?
out. I was like,
come
it
on,
was
man. Like
beautiful.
the things they're doing, and then like the what I consider the Lego room, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like the little Lego blocks and they cover together the thing, you know, certain things, just the weird nature of the hand, and they mess with horror, they mess with different things in skyboxes. But I appreciate it, and this is where I got to get them on Witch Queen. Witch Queen was the first to attempt really mechanics, but like there were raid mechanics in this. I felt sorry for new players who never played a dungeon, never played a raid, don't know nothing about symbols. If you've never done that and you're doing this on, let's say you attempt legendary as a person who doesn't play Destiny, I want to know how that worked out for you.
I'll make you
Because
feel better.
Go ahead, talk to me.
Because somebody who didn't do any of that stuff and played the campaign was Richard Hogue.
Oh wow! How did how did Hogue take it?
He got through it because you don't realize this because you've played raids.
Yeah.
But that campaign actually does a great job of explaining the mechanics to you early and often.
Okay, gotcha.
It explains in really easy stuff like, oh, you want to unlock this door? Go get that symbol and go get that symbol and match them. And
So
then
they would
later
help.
it teaches you about portals, and then later it teaches you about breaking shields with the relic shield.
Yeah, the relics, bro. They had moments like that. Yeah.
It teaches you piece and piece and piece in the early like 3 or 4 missions. I was just playing it with D last night, and without me explaining stuff, she was picking up like, oh, okay, I get it. Like I'm unlocking this door. And then later when she gets to the parts where she has to fight and do that, it's going to be in her muscle memory. So I saw Hogue get through it. Hogue had problems with the skill check part of it, which we can get to later.
Yeah.
I think Destiny's the Final Shapes campaign is really hard for people who aren't as well geared as us. Because I steamrolled the campaign.
Yeah.
Dude, I steamrolled the campaign on Legendary, had no problem with any of the counters. I was blowing stuff up just like left and right. And then I jumped into Richard Hogue's game to help him with his mission, and I saw his loadout, and I was like,
oh god,
yo.
Bro,
no wonder he's doing bad, dude.
Badly,
if you're running blues and you got like a void submachine gun.
But okay, also in fairness, they don't make you pick legendary straight out of the gate when you've got crappy
gear. He didn't do legendary, dude.
Oh, he did.
He was having trouble on regular.
Okay, well that I don't know. I was like that could. And I was like, I don't want to say too much there, but I was like, at that point, it's also.
You're saying he sucks.
No, I'm kind of like. No, if I'm gonna go back and replay.
That was the nicest way I've ever seen a streamer be like, skill issue.
Don't do that to Hogue. Don't do that.
No, but it's kind of one of those. It's like it is going to be an intense fight and stuff like that. But I know for legendary, I totally understand like being skilled out. For normal, I feel like you would have your radar. That's one thing. Like half the time, you don't even know if anything's close to you. And then sometimes it was no radar, and then empath, which was you get your radar, but that one cancels it out. But then now melee's hit harder. I'm like, those little moments are annoying and stuff. Not trying to knock you, Hogue, but it's more just like on normal. Just I died a few times here and there, and then it was like the final fight for sure. Died a few times.
The final fight,
and then finally I was like, okay, got it, and then kind of worked with a little more patience on it. But it was more the Legend felt good for our loadout. It felt good. Prismatic also, which we'll get to here in a little bit. You guys probably got to play the better versions of that subclass. I'm going to be honest with you.
Oh yeah.
Transcendence on the Hunter grenade bugs the hell. It is a trip mine grenade, so it is plant and directional. So I can either unicorn somebody and maybe do a little damage to them if I can actually plant it on their body. What is a subjugator besides a really tall twig? So you can miss those subjugators pretty easily with your precision grenade.
The hunter is powerful right now. It's just that their prismatic subclass is not. Their grenade isn't the reason you choose them, right? It's because they can use golden gun and
golden gun, still hunt, and you can do that stuff, but you don't get still hunt until after the campaign. But yeah,
Prismatic started to.
It is weird that special ammo is like more valuable than heavy ammo right now.
Yes.
In the hunter especially. It's kind of
absolutely.
crazy.
And shout out to the call. Oh my lord, I love that gun. I could not take that gun off.
Dude. I had to take it out of the video version of my review because I just talked about the weapons too much. You have to keep it to like a 10-minute video. But dude, the call, I want to like write a full article about why that gun makes Destiny feel so much better, because it does so many things. You can use it as a sniper, you can use it as just a grenade launcher, basically. And Cog, I'm sure you haven't experienced this, but pro tip, I don't know if anybody knows this. I just found this out independently. Maybe somebody made a video about it, but the Titan exotic that shoots rockets, where you get headshots and then you take out your barrier and it shoots a whole bunch of rockets. That exotic is good on its own, but then it gives you a 35% damage boost to rockets, and the call counts as a rocket launcher.
That's insane.
It counts, dude. You get a 35% damage boost on the call. In the raid, literally anytime I got into trouble, I would push out the barrier. It would do like 350k damage with the rockets, and then I would walk through the barrier with a call drawn and just be like, boop, 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 just destroying. Dude, it was crazy.
Insane. That's insane.
A tormentor in like 5 shots, dude.
Damn,
that's crazy.
Damage boost on. It's just like shoulder once, chest piece, and it's like done, dude. Crazy.
Yeah, man. Some of the builds with Prismatic Warlock was so much fun, and just messing with Stasis, having turrets, having Devour up, the Helion, which is almost like this little solar mortar that shoots out, was a ton of fun. And yeah, man, it started to get into this synergy of becoming transcendent, right? And then having like a lot of uptime on these abilities, and then obviously taking care of the prismatic shielded enemies, right? Knock those out, and then obviously get your super on top. So it's like 2 supers running all the time. And again, this is us, them giving us the baby versions during the campaign, then leading up to the raid. But yeah, it was fantastic. I know you guys are probably all specced out. I haven't got a chance to really finish the specking out.
My loadout is nasty right now.
Sick.
It's so disgustingly min-max, dude. It's so nasty. As Ebontis got a taste of last night. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the exotic mission later. Yeah.
Ebontis and I had a little bit of a PvP encounter, and I got some pretty good clips from it. It's great.
Question I got to
ask, say spawning annoyances, but that's fine. Go ahead.
So we did the campaign. We knocked that out. I thought, again, I love the fact that they did not cheapen in and you beat the witness. I mean, even though they said they weren't going to do that, but I like the fact that he was just annoyed now. Like, oh, you don't want to acquiesce. You gonna make me bleed a little. You know what I'm saying? And now we're gonna continue. So the question now is, all you guys, I have not done the raid, so I need.
I haven't either.
I've done it.
Oh, so you're gonna stay? Okay. So I just, in non-spoiler return, since me and E have not done it.
Yeah.
Give me your assessment of the raid. Now that you've completed it, where does it stand for you? The encounters, just give us the flavor.
The raid is it's the best raid they've done.
Wow,
that's what I've heard.
Yeah, it's actually not even close.
Hold on,
it's actually kind of bad how the other raids look bad now. Like
I've heard similar things.
It is way better. It's like way better, dude.
So prior to this, what was the best raid? Did you have Vow up there?
Rolk.
Rolk, right? We had Rolk.
Yeah, probably Rolk. Okay. I also am just a fan of Wrath of the Machine. I haven't played Wrath of the Machines in years, and I would probably hate it if I played it today because it would feel old. But at the time, I loved the metal, like Mad Max feel of Wrath of the Machine. But anyway, this raid is stupidly good. So here's some of the things I love. It uses your knowledge of Destiny raids against you. It says, oh, you were taught to stand on plates for 9 years. Well, if you stand on plates in this one, you're never going to clear an encounter. Super cool. It has actual, what you're doing in the raid. You know how when you're killing the Taken King, you don't really understand what you're doing mechanically. In this raid, you do. It's like very clear if you're paying attention at all to what you're doing in the raids. Like, you know exactly how you're beating the witness, which is super damn cool. It does that thing where it teaches you one mechanic at a time, and then it mixes it up. The levels are amazing. I don't need to
the aesthetic is cool. When we did Vow for the first time, being in the pyramid for the first
blows
time,
it away.
It's not that aesthetic. It borrows some of it, but it's more Pale Heart than it is pyramid ship, right?
Okay.
It's weird. It's weird, like body parts and body horror stuff. Which is cool. It does have a lot of environments in common with Root of Nightmare. Like, you're walking through a pyramid type ship area.
Is he talking to you?
Oh yeah.
Are he talking that talk?
There's a massive lore reveal actually in the raid. One of the biggest things that you could think of.
Yeah, it's pretty big. I'm not going to spoil anything, but let's just say that tower you see in the distance is not what you think it is.
Okay.
And you will find out when you get to the end of the raid what that tower is. It's crazy. Probably my favorite part of the raid is that there is absolutely no room to do carries. You can't do it.
Yeah, I heard
If
everybody
you do
got to
not
do their part.
have, if you do, and I found this out myself, right? Like I had a contest mode, and then after that, I did some. I would call them high end of casual, but they're not like as sweaty as me. But they're like, they play regularly. They have
Yeah.
good loadouts and stuff. I played with groups like that, and then LFG. I could not get a consistent clear, even though I was doing. I was not only playing well, I was doing the roles of two people at certain points where I was like overplaying, and I was
Overplaying,
staying
helping out.
live, and just I was killing ads the second they spawned. We were still losing because
Wow.
if you have one person who doesn't have a complete grasp of the mechanics and is like messing up even a little bit on timing or execution, you're gonna die. If you have one person who isn't controlling their ads, you're gonna die. If you have one person who dies while trying to do all the mechanics and kill things, it's over. There's certain scenarios where all 6 people are doing something that needs to be done, and if they die at any point, it's toast.
Damn.
You would have to stop what you're doing to res them, and so
To
there's
res
no
them, which
opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
It basically just it ends the encounter, and so it is. I'm not going to say that it's like super difficult. Like when I found a good team, we did the raid in 2 hours. And it was because I had a perfect understanding of the mechanics because I had done them so much with different groups and tried different scenarios. And then we were all sweaty, right? We were all like, all right, we got the right loadouts. We know how to stay alive. We know how to kill ads. We're on top of this. We blew through it, dude. It was so fast. It was like we actually beat encounters 1 through 3 without a second attempt. We got through them on our first try because we all came to play. Like we knew what was up. But the thing is, like, if you're the person learning the encounter, you're not gonna be able to clear the encounter without knowing exactly why you cleared it, right? You're gonna have to learn it. There's not gonna be like you're on ad clear, so you don't have to worry.
Yeah, there's no ad clear. Yeah.
There's
Not
not,
that clear for me. The jig's up for me.
The exception is there is a little bit of leeway in especially the 5th encounter, which I actually think is the worst designed encounter, the final one. It's the worst designed in that it's a really cool fight, but there's a ton of fat. Like you could not understand that encounter and get through it pretty easily. But everything else is 100% like you're either going to learn this raid and you're going to master it and master your role in it, or you're not going to complete it. And I think that is awesome because it means everybody's involved, brings you really close together. Even the groups I didn't complete it with, where we kind of ended, we knew why we didn't complete it, right? And we knew we were not worthy at that point. And so I ended up finding a team that worked for me. And I'm sure that at a certain point, we will feel like this is a lot easier, right, than it is. But I don't think there's ever going to be a point where you're able to just like run the raid every week without knowing certain encounters. It's just not really a thing. And it feels good. It feels really good because it means you really do have to have a mastery of it. And if you're scared of raids, don't do this one.
Don't do this. This
Yeah,
is
it's
the
just
hardcore.
not for
This
you,
is not
man.
the one to
It's
jump
not
in and
for you.
learn
It's
on.
hardcore.
You get
So 2 questions. One thing I did see sneak and watch was there seems to be a theme of final shape looming amongst each encounter. So
that's part of why the raid is so hard. There's always a counter on screen that wipes if you don't do something to end that timer or extend it. And so even if you know all the mechanics and you're pulling them off, if you're not doing it quickly enough or there's a delay because somebody died and you had to go res them, you're just going to wipe. And even if you get a complete, you get to like a damage phase and you complete a damage phase, you might look up at the timer and go, well, we did the damage phase, but now we don't have enough time to do it again. We're screwed. And there's nothing you can do about it. And so
which
it's really
adds to the lore of him creating the final shape, and you have to beat this in time.
I will say a nitpick of mine, if the chat wants to really hate me for nitpicks. When the witness final shapes you, everybody just ragdolls like usual, like you just spin in the air and die, rather than a special effect where everything stops and you get bisected.
That would be cool,
that would
but
be
man,
so cool if they did that and a final shape happened and then everything was just like that doesn't happen. And as soon as I saw that counter, I was like, oh my god, they're gonna final shape us in the raid. And then when it didn't happen, it took the wind out of my sails, man. I felt so sad. I was like, oh, they just killed me. I didn't even get to get final shaped as was promised. So I wanted to get final shaped.
You're ridiculous.
Bungie,
I was
if
like,
you can add one frivolous, way too expensive thing just for my
that's very expensive for your death
that's
animation.
it, dude.
That's his Bungie. That is his Bungie, please, right now, right there.
That will legitimately elevate the raid experience so much. Like, I can't tell you how cool that would be. I know you're never going to do it, but man, it would be so damn cool.
Hilarious.
So, yeah, that was your first question about the
Yeah,
final
no,
shape.
and then
There's like a lore reason to why you're failing. Like the witness is like getting ready to do it, and if you don't do something to push that back, you're basically what the raid is you're not killing the witness, but you're trying to remove
separate.
its hold on the traveler and the light. You're basically trying to like separate it so that it can't,
Nice.
because it needs the power of creation, right? It has the power of destruction. It needs creation to do the final shape, and you're trying to take that away from it.
Dope.
Zinthos is asking, would it change your score to 10 out of 10? I'd consider it.
Oh my god.
I would. I would talk to Dan and Tom and be like, how early is too early for a re-review? Because they added final shaping mechanics.
Great.
That is super cool.
Yeah.
No, that was good. That you answered. I don't want to get too deep because obviously you
What was
didn't do
the
it
second
yet.
question?
It was more so along the. You kind of answered it already, which is in terms of lore wise why we're doing stuff, and then also how you compared it to the others. And the vibe I'm getting from you is sheer challenge, mechanic heavy, difficult. That is the separators that make it superior than the others.
It's also what the mechanics are. The mechanics have lore, and I don't want to give away anything, especially in the fourth encounter, which might be the best encounter.
Yeah, that's I did sneak peek one of those. That was crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Unbelievable on a mechanical perspective. And by the way, that encounter is easy. It's easy. The hard part of that encounter is knowing what the is going on. That is the hard part. It's
seeing people
every
break.
time something happens when you're playing that, like when the first time a certain mechanic happens, you're like, wait, did we fail? And then you find out no, something else is happening here. And it takes a really long time to unravel. But once you actually understand the mechanics, doing a run with it is easy. Like it's actually probably the easiest, second easiest encounter in the raid. The third encounter is pretty darn easy. But the fourth encounter is probably the second easiest. It's just hard to do.
Wrapping your head around what to do.
Not everybody is getting it, right? Like the hard part with that one is like there's a little bit of random selection, and if you're selected for a role and you're like, I don't really get how this works, you're pretty screwed.
Yeah.
But once you do know it, it's like, dude, it's pretty easy.
Well, that's one of those moments I hear. What I think, at least I haven't looked as much into it. But if you're randomly selected, you're on your own.
You are on your own. Yeah. And actually, you're on your own throughout the entire raid. I would say almost every encounter requires 6 people to be in 6 specific different places. Sometimes you're kind of grouped in that you have another person on the other end, but they're not in the same room as you. You're responsible for all your ads. If you die, they're going to have to leave their area and come to you, and it's done. Like you're cooked.
Yep.
And so it was fun, man. Contest mode was super fun. Getting through those first 3 encounters was brutal. Then doing it once contest mode was over, it took a lot of the heat off in terms of like death and DPS. It kind of removed some of those barriers. If I have complaints, it's let me get final shaped, you bastards. There's almost no bosses. I kind of like raids. Like I like bosses, bosses and not really any. That said, I will give them that thematically it doesn't really make sense for there to be a whole bunch of bosses, right? You're fighting the witness, and that's what this is about. So it makes sense to me. The other thing is the raids, the mechanics that you're doing, it's not stand on a plate, it's not throw a ball at something. It's not that. It's like understanding mechanically what you're doing and communicating with someone and bouncing things back and forth and there's a section where you have to get to know each other's guardians it's like a trust ball exercise as part of the raid. And like I said, I do think the final encounter is a super fun fight, but it's the worst encounter of the raid, mechanically speaking, because there's a lot of fat. There's a lot of like, you don't actually have to be paying attention. In contest mode, I hear it was a little different. I didn't get that far during contest mode, so I don't know. But during the regular mode, first of all, you can forget almost all the mechanics you learned throughout the rest of the raid because they don't come back. And then second of all, there's just like a lot of like, okay, you can clear ads. And so I predict that there will be people checkpointing to that final encounter. And then final encounter, you can carry people through. As long as you have people who know to kill ads and they avoid a few specific things, you can get through it. But it also has one of the most fun DPS phases of any raid fight. The final boss is so fun because the first couple times you do it, you're like, this sucks. I can't do any DPS without dying. And then once you realize how it works and you kind of come down to the system to staying alive, it is so much fun because you're not just standing in a place and killing. You're like talking and doing like, okay, now do this, now do this, now do this while you're doing DPS. And it's so much fun to just like bounce back and forth with your team. And it's one of those things where if like the whole group isn't in flow, one of you will die. And then if you try rezzing that person, all of you will die. And so you really have to be on top of it. It's really cool. So yeah, man, I can't gush enough about the raid. I think before you guys know my problems with the campaign, right? And so I was on like an 8, right? Doing the raid, I was like, oh my god,
So
this could be a 9, right? Doing the raid, I was like, this could be 9. This is such a damn good raid. It's so much fun. It's challenging. It has lore in it. I want to actually get to the end to see the story. And then doing it, by the way, is so rewarding. Like, I get that it's probably the biggest pain in the ass Bungie's ever put into their game, but like actually getting to the end and getting that payoff of seeing what the actual thing is
so they give you a conclusion raid payoff when you.
Oh yeah. No, there's a payoff of like
separate from Excision.
I don't there's a part of the skybox. There's a part of the skybox that you are misinterpreting until you do the raid. Where you're just like, what? Like,
got it.
What the? Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah, and it does have a lot of payoff. And then once I got to Excision, it was pretty much a done deal.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, they nailed the raid. We haven't even gotten to Prismatic and the Dread, which are 2 of my favorite things. We haven't even gotten to the exotic quest that's maybe the best one they've ever done. Ian and I did it last night. It was crazy. So at that point, it was like, Destiny's here, 10 more years, 10 more years. Bungie's the GOAT. I'm back, baby. So I'm wearing a tuxedo today because I made a joke that my dress code is 100% dependent on how good Destiny
the state of Destiny.
Yeah.
Okay,
so if it was a masterpiece, what would you wear? Birthday suit?
If it was a 10, I'd go. I think I'd have a top hat and a cane, maybe.
Okay.
I'd have.
I was like, I don't know how you go above what you're wearing.
You gotta get the monocle. You got the monocle.
Full on Monopoly guy.
Monocle, baby.
Monopoly guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
maybe a watch dangling in, but yeah, we didn't get a 10, but and again, I'm happy to explain why I think it's not a 10. I don't know if we want to do that right now.
I mean, you told us.
No, it has nothing to do with the campaign. But yeah, I can get to it.
No, I mean, just hearing you. I mean, look, we know how thorough in attention to detail you are with your reviews. So for me, this is grown man tears because we know the journey you've been with this game, and you will tear it apart if they half-ass, if they don't give a full context on things. We know how much the story felt like a convoluted mess with Nightfall, the Veil, and all the nonsense. To hear you, like, I'm telling, like, it's mind-blowing to me to see everyone in this euphoric state and saying how great it is, because it's like, man, they actually did it. Like, they literally did it. And it's just, wow, it's kudos to the team and everyone involved with it. And then, again, for E, I just got to bring it back to him because it's like, how are you feeling with everything, this damn journey of this game and how long we've been playing it and the pressure to conclude a story like this with everything on their back, including their physical studio future, right? And we still, we're not out of the wilderness yet. We don't know what the financials are and pre-orders, and so I'm not going to go there. But at least from a critical acclaim review standpoint, it seemed to have
not just critical acclaim, by the way, fan acclaim.
Fan acclaim, right? The fans seem to love it. So, E, like, how are you feeling with all of this now coming out right now?
I was going to say, I think Bungie needs one of these.
Wow.
I mean, I said it like, I don't know if I can put it any better than Excision actually having me tear up. Yeah. It was culmination of everything, longest raid race, craziest puzzles. Like, the world seems bananas in the raid, and I don't even quite know the lore aspects that are going on. I just saw people bashing their head against walls for a really long time, but I was just kind of checking in. I know a little bit of the mechanics, but not too much. I haven't read any real guides or anything yet, but it was just everything. I mean, I had so many cinematics that I got to sit there and watch and just be in awe, like streaming with everybody. And like the moment when, I was turned on the stream the next day to get back into the missions, and the moment where the witness is shown in scale versus, our guardian holding a ghost, and
oh yeah,
that moment got me. And then you've got one of the missions that ends looking up at a giant Ahamkara skull. And then you sit there and turn around, and I just love the way, I love the whole destination, because you would work through a mission, you'd set up your little campfire, next mission would literally kick off from right there, and you would keep going. It felt so... I'm trying to think of the right word to put this.
Epic.
I mean, it felt epic, but the journey, I wasn't like disjointed and pulled out and, oh, let's fly over to this destination, take care of this thing over on Titan, fly over onto Nessus and do this thing over here.
No, it is the Shire to Mordor.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
pipeline. It's
Yeah.
like they keep you there, and if you try leaving, by the way, they're
They
like,
give you
go
a
back.
yeah.
Go back. You
Go
know,
back,
like
yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like,
If
I
you
was
try
like,
and go to
dude,
the
that's so
tower.
good. I watched Dee read that message like the first night we sat down to play. She hopped in, she did a mission. She was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to the tower," and then she got to the tower. She went. She was like
Yeah.
reading the thing, and it was like, "Don't leave. Like, go back to the
Yeah.
thing." She was
Yeah.
like,
Cohesive,
I get
yeah.
that.
Cohesive's
They're
a good
serious
word for
about
it.
this.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
But yeah, like that's streamlined, cohesive, all of those words fit, but it just felt like you were going on the Lord of the Rings journey, because as you said, you were never pulled out, sit in different places from the time you land in the portal. And when you turn around and look up in the sky and see
Oh,
the
see the
size of that
size,
portal,
yes.
and you're going, damn, that's even bigger than I thought it was from just the
Sick.
trailer when Crow fell through it. So like
Called
walk
the Travisi, canonically.
what?
Ooh.
The portal, right? Travel portal.
Stop.
The Travisi.
No, stop.
We not doing that.
No.
Oh.
We're keeping this reasonable this episode. Thank you. Anyway, but you go
I
along.
thought that was the agreed upon name. I'm sorry.
No, yeah.
Ridiculous.
Just even the moment where you kind of walk up behind Cade, and it's just like, and you said it, Cog, is
Ooh.
I don't know how much I've missed him in the game. His
Oh.
delivery for Cade was just spot on every time. You know, he had the moments of sitting there with Crow. When you do the Wild Hunt mission, it's just handled
Yes.
perfectly. Just you see what he gives him, and you're going, oh, and then like when those moments happen, and it's just that
By the way-
progression as you go through. Sorry.
By the way, after you beat the 7th mission, if you try to go into Excision, it tells you to go and do that mission first.
Yes, they
Yeah.
told me I had to do the same.
Have
thing.
to. Yeah.
They wouldn't let me do it until I started. Yeah.
Because I didn't know that, because I played it like in the time before the raid
Yeah.
came out, right? And so
Got
it was
it.
never a problem. But then I saw somebody else play it, and it was like stop, and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
it like
you-
wants you to get
you-
that beat,
You
which
have
I
to.
really
Yes.
appreciate.
Which I
it.
love.
You kind of
yeah.
have to have that one. So that's
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
yeah. So it's like
Mhm.
it's kind of a required thing in there that you need to go do this exotic quest to kind of understand why the next piece is going to happen and why it's so crucial.
Mhm.
And it was, I don't know, it's just we've played through campaigns in Destiny for 10 years now, between Witch Queen having Deborah Wilson set Savathun up as still probably one of my favorite characters in the entire franchise. Anytime she's talking, I just love
Yes.
it. If she's screwing with
And her
somebody.
role in this is amazing, by the
Oh,
way.
Yes.
yeah, absolutely.
She got some more bars with Mara and some of
Yeah.
those post
Bro,
missions.
Cog,
that-
you don't even know yet.
No.
Oh, still more.
You don't even know yet.
Oh, I'm
You haven't
missing
gotten-
more.
You haven't gotten to her craziest thing yet. So
Because I
yeah.
did one and they were going at it. She was like, "Look, you are just a." Marisol was like, "Look, chick, you just."
He hasn't done it yet, right? He hasn't done it.
The mission? No, I
I
don't think so.
I've not done
No.
the mission. Whatever it is, you talking about the exotic?
Oh,
Oh, it's lit. Oh, it's lit.
Eva,
Yeah.
I'm so excited
Oh,
for
it's
you,
up.
Cog.
Bro,
Yeah.
I want to be there. Who's going to be
Okay.
your second? Do you know what the exotic is?
I have no idea.
you-
I've stayed spoiler free.
You have to choose one other guardian to go in with you.
Oh,
So
okay.
Yeah, you
I
have to do
think-
you have to do this one thing, two-manned.
I think you
Oh,
might
that's
wanna
what the
choose.
Choose one of y'all. All right, I'm down.
Well, that's
I'm
what I was
down.
gonna say. That's what the controversy is all about. So we can take
Yeah,
a
I heard
little
the controversy.
separation from like our
Yeah.
glowing remarks right
There's-
now.
Okay, first of all, that controversy is stupid. They did something cool and unique, and if you have a
Say
problem
that
with
to E.
that, go.
I'll say that to eat. It's the solo experience guy.
No,
No,
honestly,
no,
I
no.
agree. It's worth
Oh,
it.
He's with me on this
Oh,
one
It's
because
worth it.
because
Take
Cog, if you
take
have-
1
you-
hour, find
if you have
someone.
played- if you have played that mission, Cog, there's no way they could have done that solo. They
It is
wanted to
truly
do
impossible,
a specific
yeah.
thing,
all right.
and all the mechanics are based around it, and the lore is based around it, and the ending is crazy and surprising, and it's so like literally, if you don't like this sort of thing, then you don't get to ask Bungie to do anything cool because they did something cool and different, and you're like, but it didn't get it the way it would. No, screw that.
I saw
This
Glass
was
tweet.
sick.
He was going
This
in.
was sick. Everybody who says this is a controversy needs to go kick rocks. That's what I said.
So in y'all opinion, who both have completed said mission, people are like,
we played it
like
together.
Oh, you guys did it together.
I played it first, and then I played it with him.
Your opinion, it's that good? Like the way people are acting like this is the greatest exotic mission of all time. It
is the greatest exotic mission of all time, actually. It's the best.
And we talk about 0 hour.
It's better than 0 hour.
It's like that.
It's better than 0 hour. That's is the best one. And so literally it's like we're like, Bungie, we want new things. The seasons are too predictable. Try something new. They give you the newest thing that they could have, which is like a remix of an old idea where they take the idea of duality and lightness and dark, and they put it into a mission and mechanics and boss run with a crazy ending and a super awesome reward. And your response is, it would have been nice if it was solo. Like, literally piss off. Like, that's what I have to say to that one. So,
is it amazing. Greater than Whisper? Is it greater than Zero?
Yes.
I need E. I need E there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's better. Who's going to be your second? Are we going to flip a coin for me and E? Who's going to be?
You know what it is?
You've known him longer, but like, I don't know.
No, honestly, no. I got the fresh eyes to watch Travis, so I think it would be good for Travis to watch your fresh eyes go through it.
I'm down. I guess I'm just blown.
Whenever you're ready, man.
I'm down. I'll probably do it after this joint because I need to do it. I guess I'm just blown away that like they keep exceeding all these expectations. I just find it hard to believe.
It's crazy. Look, I'm the guy who's been. People call me a pessimist about Destiny. I'm not a pessimist. I don't think so. I'm just the type of guy who's like, look, I love you so much, and friends are honest with each other. And if I have something to say that I think you're doing wrong, I'm going to call you out about it. But I think the thing that makes me a good critic is I'm not the type of person to ever get entrenched in my positions. If you prove me wrong, I will immediately admit that you did something right, and I'll give you kudos for it. And that's what I'm doing right now. Like, Bungie cooked, they put in the work, they delayed the game to make this happen. I'm going to be interviewing somebody who was working on the team tomorrow about this stuff. And I'm going to talk about, I'm going to ask them questions about like how much that delay meant to them and what they accomplished in it and stuff. So maybe we'll get some details on that. But like, they put in the time and effort and energy and love into making this special. And it is special. And we should give them kudos for that. In the same level of intensity that I crapped on them after Lightfall, I'm gonna show them love right now because this is their moment, and I'm stoked, man. I'm so happy this happened.
That's dope, man. I'm blown away. I'm blown away.
So I was gonna say, I'm seeing a couple things in chat, and they're asking basically is like, I think the issue is that the exotic that was heavily marketed as part of Prismatic is behind the mission, and
so what's wrong with that?
No, but it's just like. And some people are saying, are you sure casuals can do it? And I will tell you, it's not going to be an easy thing for somebody with like a blue loadout to do. But when you play a little bit, then you start to understand the mechanics and you start to understand, because I went through a couple times yesterday and we didn't quite make it, but we kept getting a little farther and learning, getting a little farther and learning. And then we almost got it. And then I played with somebody else before I played with Travis. And then we turned around and beat it back to back. And then I played with Travis and we were totally fine and efficient. So it is.
He never had any trouble. And and by the way, he wasn't telling me anything either. He was letting me figure out the mechanics. So
yeah, I was giving him small hints here and I was like, maybe look at this. What do we do?
Yeah.
I had to share some information, but there's once you play it, you'll know why. Because you actually do have to talk. But it's.
I mean, you know what else is heavily marketed with Destiny is the raids, right? And you need friends to do that, or you have to use LFG, or you have to find a solution. You don't have to do it, but the raid is a big part of every Destiny expansion package, and it's gated behind people who. This is a multiplayer game, right? If you're a solo player, they gave you a ton of things to love. You can play the Pale Heart completely alone, which I personally love because I find it kind of. I find it kind of
really.
Look, I'm a guy who
solo
loves
Destination. Could not be happier. I love that.
Really?
You don't run into random players throughout that world. You never do. It's always just you. But look, I'm usually on the opposite side of Ebontis, where I'm like, yo, he plays the game wrong. He's playing a multiplayer game by himself. What a loser, right? But I think that there's a lot of virtue in this being a more personal journey. And I think that the Pale Heart works for what it's trying to do. And then if you want to bring in your friends, you can. But if you're a solo player, there's a lot of stuff for you to love in this game. They gave you a 12-man activity that you can match make with for the conclusion. They gave you a campaign that feels like it was almost tuned for single player. Like to me, the Legendary campaign feels like really good for one person. So there's a lot of stuff. This is one activity with a super cool item that you'll have to learn a little bit with one other person who playing Destiny right now doesn't have at least one person that has always got their back, right? That they're going to do these sorts of activities with. So I say to those people, like, just have fun, figure out, you'll figure this one out. Also, I don't think it's very hard. Maybe that's me being
well, your skill level, you're on the higher end than most.
Yeah, but I still feel like you and I finished it with what, like 18 minutes left or something like that?
We finished
like,
for about 10 or 11
on the higher end of the Destiny skill level tree.
But it was the first try, bro, and I was figuring out mechanics.
And I was like, and I had played it so many times already, I knew exactly what to look for. And that was the thing. I went through the first time with the person I was playing with, and we're like, okay, we're kind of figuring out. All right, time got a little low. Okay, and then it's like, all right, so figured a few more things out. And then we kind of kept just like making some progress as we went through. And that was like the second time we got almost through. So it's one of those that somebody said it in chat. It's literally the best item in the game. It should be hard. And somebody's like, I say that as a 95% solo player, same as me. I mean, Travis, you said it. They can't really be any more creative with solo content that they have. It's like when you have dungeons and solo and stuff of that nature. That's why, I mean, Travis said the raid, every person has to be on their stuff. They have to be taking care of their responsibility, very minimal places. And if you can make it through 4 encounters, then yeah, you might be able to shoot some ads at some point, but you got through the rest of it. So you probably earned one of those roles if you got there. But same thing here. And it's the way it is mechanically done. I couldn't picture it any other way, because if I pictured it as a solo, it would feel empty because of what they do for it. And it's why it's done that way. So again, it's like not having any spoilers, but yeah, it's like, it is when you go through the mission, when you do Whisper or 0 Hour, you don't picture you picture platforming.
Right.
And you picture surviving.
Correct. And timer.
This has that and then more.
Okay.
So you have platforming, you have timing, you have staying alive, you have handling your stuff, and it's just done in a way that to go with the whole final shape and everything that's going on in the subclass, and it right now, I couldn't have asked for a better exotic mission. And it fits it so well because of
he's a solo player,
right?
That's for him. That's all I.
It's thematic, Cog. And once you get in there, you'll be like, oh yeah, like those people are being weird.
And that's the other thing is you only have to do this one time, and then you have opportunities change.
Forte said that, yeah.
He
said that. Once you do it once, then the Pale Heart.
And I actually got one from. I got one extra one from doing that stuff today. So
and
it's
I never have to grind again because I got a God roll. My first
you got a freaking beast roll. I saw that one.
Yeah,
nice.
Dude. I got
kind of random.
I got Drangir's Lash and Armamentarium on my Titan class item. So
nice.
Now I've got dude. I mean, like literally, if you were like Travis, pick 2. The only other thing I could think of is Syntheseps, and what's the other one?
Inmost Light would probably go.
Dude, if that would be a really good.
That'd be sick. So is it's I'm assuming it's not match made, right? It's you have to have picked physically too. Okay, like
I mean, you could use Fire Team Finder,
right?
That type of stuff. There are options in there. LFG. It is one of those moments where they are going to force you outside of your comfort zone, but it is so well worth it in so many ways, because when you finish it, you and that person shared that moment together. Same as when you finish a raid, it's just on a grander experience.
That's right, E.
Salute. That's dope.
And it's really, really cool because somebody's like, it's Ebontis, he's a solo player, but I can play with whoever I want. And I played Destiny 1 before I was a content creator, and I still went to go find people to run a raid with and did LFG on websites that weren't even Bungie associated, and I've gone out there and done it too. I understand there are introverts I am a little bit of one. I know others that are very extreme when they have like days of meetings and stuff. It's exhausting. I get those happen, but it is one of those points, and there's a forget which like, but it's like, have you ever heard? It's like, how many spoons does that cost you? Find the day where you got a couple extra spoons, and it will be worth the journey. And then you only have to do it once, but it is a worthwhile experience that they got to get creative with. Because, I mean, if you think about all of the dungeons we've had, look at the start to the finish. You've got, you know, as you said, you've stand on the plate or dunk the ball or any of those. I mean, duality, it's like, you can think of so many, but this one is, it fits the destination too. Like Pale Heart, start to finish. Gonna say it's like thematically again right on brand with the whole expansion. So I love that it fits everything that's there so well, and it takes the cool parts of like these missions that we've been on, and it just kind of escalates it because they can do more with it. And I've played it 2 or 3 times where I didn't finish it, and I've finished it 3 times now. And the cool thing is, if you help someone, you are rewarded. So it's not like I'm going to go do it for nothing. If I'm going to go do it, I'm going to get rewarded. So I can go help people farm it, and I'm going to get rewarded as well. So with as many combinations and things that are out there in 3 characters, you're going to be able to help farm, and people are going to be running helps and all that other stuff. Like it's an excellent mission, and I'll shut up now.
Yeah, fire. Love to hear it.
We did actually mention the destination. Completely soloable. Whole thing is built and designed around that. And I appreciate that because I was running through and doing
it's at max 3 people, right? That's the most people you can get into that location.
But it's like I was working on overthrow, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I wonder if I get to 4 if I'm going to be able to manage this. And it is built in a way that it's not going to punish you for time. It is open to a lot of exploration. There's a lot of little secrets and like things to find and explore and understand. But then if you're doing overthrow level 4, you actually still have some mechanics to these things, but they are still solo manageable. So it is designed, if you're in a group, you can...
It almost seems designed for it because like there's no worse feeling than a public event popping up and you looking around and seeing no one and then being like, well, I guess I can't do this because it's impossible, or it's like really hard to do with one person, or some of them are almost impossible. And this one, you never have that feeling. Like anytime overthrow happens, it's like, all right, I can do this. It's probably not even going to be that challenging. It's like, it's just it's kind of designed for 1 to 3 people rather than 4 to 15 people.
And you're always just fighting some type of like escalation of little guys and then medium guys, and you got mini bosses, and then there's a big boss at some point, and there's this kind of escalation and build as you go throughout it. You might trip over this thing that you do that counts to everything seems to count towards overthrow, which is easy to make progress on, which makes the destinies easier. Just go around, shoot and do stuff, and you're making progress, getting loot the whole time. And then just all the little secrets so far in the destinations. Unlocking Prismatic is something everybody should work on going through. I've got about an hour-long video for that, so but it'll walk you through step by step of everything. But that journey is cool to go through and unlock and see all the different things they put in there, because quite a few of the fragments alone are just like, here's the thing, figure it out.
Yeah.
And then those things you might take a little while to figure out and test a couple. Okay, this is working. Okay, and then you get like one more prismatic fragment. It's like there can't be an infinite amount of fragments, but the way they handled even just the subclass, miles better than Strand. No offense, not even close. Not even.
That's what I was about to say.
Not even close.
Those are the last 2 questions I have for Travis, which is we didn't get a chance to really talk about his favorite parts in depth, which was what you just said. Prismatic. You know, we're all coming into it. Okay, this is very expansive. This seems to be the long tail of where they want Destiny to be, and then obviously getting an enemy class in the Dread, right? So, Trav, man, those last 2, I'm very curious. You know, Prismatic and what you call it, the Dread.
Yeah. So, Prismatic first. I was initially super stoked. I was really surprised that Prismatic was going to be in the game, because with everything else they were juggling, I just thought it's too good to be true to have a new enemy faction and a new location and a new subclass all in one. I was just like, nah, there's no way
of them,
right? But they did it, right? And Prismatic, and then when they announced the details, I was like, okay, maybe Prismatic's not going to be that good. And it's not really about Prismatic being overpowered. It's about the the way that you experience Destiny feeling way more customizable and configurable in a way that's super appealing to, I think, anyone. Like, now it seems so stupid that when I put on my Strand subclass, I can only use Strand. I'm like, what? Why was this ever acceptable? Honestly, it
You don't want
feels
to go
crappy
back
now.
now.
It really is. It's like, dude, you're telling me, like, come on, you already put in the game a solar grenade. You're telling me I can't use it because I have my Void subclass equipped. It just changes the way you think about the game. I think this is the future of Destiny. I think maybe they add rules down the road where, like, if you're going to use Ward of Dawn or the Healing Well, then maybe there's limitations, like it reduces your discipline by 50 or something like that. Like it gives you disadvantages to make that feel fair. But before I was like, oh, I like that they're not putting all of the supers in. It kind of makes sense. But now it's like, dude, I don't want to play as those. That's so boring.
I love how your tables have turned before you're like, no, it's gonna break it. No, let's throw all that out. Just throw that out. Just throw everything in Prismatic.
I'm saying I was worried about it being broken, and this is why I'm like an advocate for change, right? Because I was worried about it being broken, and then it broke, and then I went, actually, before it was broken, this is the right way. You know what I mean? Like you never know that something is broken until you see how it's.
You're my hero.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
I don't know. You never know, and I went there.
You never really know that something's broken until you see how it could work as an alternative. And so just seeing this new system has like made me kind of angry at like static subclasses. Like I do not want to play as any of those anymore.
First thing I can ask for I've been playing a hunter and only a hunter. The only thing I've done on my other characters is literally turn in bounties and logged in on the other one. That is it. I have been pure hunter 100%. My other two are like 1900. I think I opened up an Engrams on 1910.
It was weird watching him play on a hunter last night. I was like, "What? You've changed.
You've changed. You're not Ebontis.
You're not
someone
the same
else."
Guy I knew.
The hunter grenade. I can ask any. You could probably ask any hunter. It's like trip mine grenade. Is that a PvE grenade? No. Why would that be the prismatic grenade? I don't know, but it is. So I'm either unicorning things with the first stasis and then solar. Occasionally a room will be set up where I can throw it at a wall or throw it at a side, and it'll like cook half of what's in front of it. And I'm like, that's kind of fun. But there are plenty of times I've missed. And if you just get to you two just get to throw an AoE at the ground, and it's not gonna miss a general target, and it's like, come on.
Funny? With the Titan grenade, even if you miss, like let's say that there's a group of enemies and like you bounce it off the ground and it goes a little too far and it only gets one of them, it still lifts that person in the air and then it zaps anything near anyone who got affected by the grenade. So even if you miss, it still does tons of damage to everything that is near what gets. You have to completely miss. So I played with all three classes, and I think honestly all three are great because the hunter has other advantages. Like, I agree the grenade is kind of a miss, but like the hunter is so powerful right now. I mean, look at the raid stats, dude. Hunters have cleared,
oh man, did you see the raid stats? There were like 3 or like less than 10 of all the characters that like finished the raid early on. It was like 3 Titans or something like that. It was a ridiculously small number. Yep, hunters and warlocks.
It's because the hunter right now is going crazy.
Well, I mean, you go hunter, celestial, and wild hunt.
Oh yeah. It's kind of
and it's an insane combination.
The warlock prismatic is maybe the most broken as a class because of the healing potential and all
that
little
stuff. Turret sounds great.
It is really cool. And also their super affects everyone on the team.
Yes.
I mean, it's like
how do you go wrong?
Crazy. Also the new
and I'm over here just like, let me warp around with my lightning knife. No.
The Titan super throwing axes, I have not taken that off my Titan.
I finally got to use it with him last night, and it's a blast. As a guest to the axe, it's still great.
Yeah. So he wasn't even using the super; he was just using the product of the super. What we were doing is in the second encounter of the raid, people were running low on ammo by like, the second damage phase. And so I said, hey guys, for those of us who are Titans, let's pop our super right at the beginning, throw it at the boss, and then we'll all run toward the boss and pick up the axes and do damage phase, right? And so you're just smacking it, do your final throw, and then when you run out, pick up another one because they're all over the battlefield. And so it replaces heavy ammo in a cool way, which is super cool. And it does DPS and then also support. Like it has a support ability because you're giving the group like an artifact they can use.
Yeah.
It's super unique, and I feel like how the hell is it going to work in PvP? That's weird because
Yeah,
it, you
I don't
know,
know what
like
PvP
can
look
the
like
other
these
enemies
days.
pick up your artifacts if you throw it at them and miss, or or is it just your teammates? Like I just have a lot of
Probably
questions about how
teammates.
that works.
Mhm.
But yeah, man, what a great. I'm really obsessed with Prismatic, and I think I think this has got to be how Destiny just works going forward. I
Yeah.
think,
Mm.
the
Building more and more
3.0,
into this. Yeah.
yeah, whatever it is Destiny ends up transforming into, I think it's like we are guardians. We use darkness and light simultaneously. We don't pop on, because before, remember the Taken King where like
Mhm.
each subclass had a like lore behind it. It was like the Sunbreakers. They came from this
Yeah.
part of the galaxy and they had this philosophy, and like they were very kind of like it made sense why like a Void Titan was different from a Solar Titan. They were like completely different philosophies. And
Yeah.
it feels like now we've just moved past that. We're like, we have reached, complete synthesis of all of these ideas and philosophies, and we're something new. And so,
Nice.
yeah, I'm really excited.
Nice. Love to hear it. Love to see it.
Dread. So let's talk about the Dread.
Yep.
Mhm.
The Dread are a cool new faction. Obviously, I think the unfortunate thing is that the Tormentor's the best part of the faction, like by a lot. And we
Still.
kind of already knew that, right? They kind of gave us our best one. And it is the most intimidating and scary, and like it definitely changes the way you have to
They're
fight.
just so
And
beefy.
then,
Even when you take their shoulders off, I'm like, come on, leave me
yeah,
alone.
I'm telling you, E, Forerunner is broken.
You did
Use
mention I gotta
Forerunner.
test that at some point just to see.
Ooh.
Like
Forerunner is
it might be
broken.
like bugged to a broken point when he said how much damage it
I
does
think
to
it is actually
tormentors.
bugged.
Yeah.
I think it might actually be bugged. But yeah, it destroys tormentors like crazy. But yeah, I think the Tormentor is really cool. Some of the other ones I'm less stoked about. I think the Attendant and the Weaver are really underwhelming, not just
Mhm.
because they appear to be reskinned Scions, which,
they
like,
are.
let's
Right.
be honest, they are just Scions.
Silence. Yeah.
But also because mechanically, like, Attendants tend to slow down combat a whole lot. Like,
Mhm.
they don't even really do a lot of damage to you. They just put you in situations where
Which
maybe you'll
is
get killed and it feels cheap.
Mhm.
Attendants are the ones that freeze you, Cog. So
Right.
the Weavers, I think, are the others. The Weavers I have less of a problem with for a few things. One, in the raid, their role is really cool because you have to be in certain places at certain times, and they yank you out of
Yeah.
position, and
Positioning.
you have to
Yep. That's
run.
exactly what
And
they're
so
built
theirs
for.
is really good.
annoying.
But I will say this: if you are a Titan, the Weavers are the funniest thing ever, because you're standing in place, and all of a sudden a Weaver pulls you, and you get yanked toward them, and you like, wait, you want to be closer to me? Big mistake. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you just get
Right.
yanked toward them, and you're like, you just screwed up real bad. So it's very funny as a hunter or as a Titan to like fly
Mhm.
toward the enemy and be like, all right, man, you asked for this.
That's
I'm
what
not
you wanted.
responsible for what
That's what
happens
you wanted.
next. Very funny.
Mhm.
The Attendants, I get the idea. Like, they kind of operate in the same way, Cog, of like, oh,
Mhm.
I've got to run here for the raid mechanic, and then you get hit by, you see the blue trail coming, and you're like, ah, crap, I'm done, because then you're just like stuck for so long. The problem is, it's not a super fun mechanic to be stuck. There's not a lot of ways out of it once you find yourself in a bubble. And really, the solution is that you have to control the ads and just make sure every one of those guys is dead. But mechanically, it does not feel good to be moving like just the slowest possible,
Mhm.
as something that is totally preventable takes your health down, and there's nothing you can really do to stop it once you get hit with it. And I just don't like their design. They're
Mm.
basically just scions with some new dark
Now the
powers.
subjugators.
Subjugators.
Subjugators are sick.
The stasis one, especially, as Outstanding just put into chat, when those stasis crystals are around, it is holy run and hide. Please get a safe
Yes.
spot away from those guys.
Yeah.
They are
The stasis
Mhm.
one is full on panic. The strand one, I kind of have the same problem I have with the attendants, which is that they hit you with a big attack, and then it suspends you in the
suspends
air
you. Yeah.
for an eternity.
Mhm.
But I will forgive them a little bit more because they're a giant enemy that's really hard to miss, and also they show their hand. Like, you see them winding up to throw this
Yeah.
big thing at you, and so
Mhm.
if you haven't gotten out of the way, that's kind of on you at that point. Whereas the attendants are a lot more like, they could just be standing in a corner. They're tiny. You might have missed them, and then all of a sudden you get hit by it, and then you're just dead. So that kind of sucks. In contest mode, those people, dude, the attendants were. Their KD must be nuts right now.
Terrorizing.
They ruin some people on the team where they'd be like, no, I'm in a bubble. I'm trying to get to my area. And you just can't get there in time.
So
yeah.
Nice. And what about the bats? The killer bats?
I think everything else is great. I think the subjugators are awesome. I think the husk are not as intimidating as I thought they were going to be, but I
thought they
really
would be
like
more
them.
intimidating. I wasn't just scared of them.
If they pile on you, it's more annoying that like when you kill him, you might have a second thing that you don't expect coming at you. So you gotta focus on them a little more than you might like to.
Yeah. And then the Grim, I think, are maybe the coolest thing they put in the game in a long time, because they're the first flying enemy that actually feels like a flying enemy. Like a lot of the other ones, like the Vex Harpies, they kind of just are floating in the wrong. they're floating at the wrong vertical axis. They don't really feel like a flying creature.
Yeah.
These actually like dart around, and they're hard to hit. They piss me off, to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh no. But they're good. They piss me off in a good way. So I really like them.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I mean, he pretty much covered most of the similar thoughts on that one. Yeah, I mean, I was very surprised one or two times when it was the Stasis Subjugator and the crystals were around, and then when it went off, I was like, dead. I'm like, damn, I gotta watch out for that. So it was more the surprise of that, I think, more than most things. Grim, really annoying, hard to target. I will say Red Death lived on me for basically the entire campaign.
Oh, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, so mine was Red Death, and then my Supremacy Sniper Rifle, which is enhanced,
Nice.
so Kinetic Tremors goes off in 2 hits. So it was like Subjugators or anything beefy, it would be 2 taps, and then I can let the Kinetic Tremors work it for a little bit while I switched over to Red Death, get a little health back, and then to balance out Transcendence.
What's wrong with you?
Because I'm weird, yeah, I don't know. I decided to go another way. And then to balance... There was a lot of ads in just the whole campaign. It felt like I was just killing things constantly and all the time. So I ended up I was trying to find a Stasis heavy or something heavy. And then and there's a decent amount of shields in the campaign too. Because when you go on Legendary, it's one of those rare moments where you actually have a lot of shields. So I actually pulled, actually what I used was Chain of Command. It was the pursuit weapon, because it got me adrenaline junkie so I could stack the damage for kills, but it also had adaptive munitions so I could take care of basically any shield, the Stasis was balancing out my solar and kinetic, so I was just always building up Transcendence the whole time. So it was kind of, I had to kind of mess around with stuff for a little until I finally found a balance that was like building Transcendence consistently, because I started at first, I'm just like, half the bars just like looking at me like, I need my buddy, where's my buddy? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going to work on that.
I was having that problem too, and then I want to shout out Outbreak Perfected. Shout out to Kinetics. Kinetics actually have value, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're actually helping you out. I mean, I know you don't want to use it, but I'm liking it. I want to get that heavy. I'm hearing good things about the Trace.
The big one. Yeah, I need to run this. I'm finally getting my level up. I'm like 1999 right now. I think I'm not quite 2000, but I'm close.
2K, which is going to be, which will be good enough. Those missions are 2005 or 2020.
Yeah,
I think they're.
I think it says recommended 2005. I can't remember if they are 2020.
2020 is for the Legend
Lost Sector, and then 2030, I guess, for the other one.
I'm trying to do those just to get the other Titan Exotic or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Do you guys want to talk about? Well, first of all, Ergo Sum is cool.
Oh, there's some crazy combinations on that thing. I've got a lot of them so far. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8.
You got that frame, that wave. What was it?
Yeah, I got the wave frame that they just demoed today.
Dude, that thing looks crazy.
Okay,
I don't have one yet.
The one that I got is a wave frame sword. So heavy attack deploys a shockwave uppercut, launches you into the air, and immediately after that, you can follow up swing to kind of do like a homing strike that attacks them as well.
Long range homing strike that pulls you toward enemies aggressively.
And then I got it as Void, and I got it with Insectoid robots. So defeated targets drop Insectoid robots that chase.
Oh my god.
That was my Void drop that I got.
Dude.
That's
do you know what Ergo Sum is, Cog? Have you messed with it? Okay, so it is a sword that goes in your special slot and uses special ammo.
Okay.
And
you want to know the other one I got? Hold on, you want to know the other one I got?
The diversity of builds is crazy. Like it can have all these different permutations of like perks and elements and like stuff like that. And
Is it exotic?
it's an exotic, and
It's an
you
exotic
can get
sword, special
it,
sword, energy sword.
you can farm a whole bunch of them by just
Yeah.
like hanging out in the Pale Heart and doing stuff.
So your 2 Pathfinders a week will give you one.
Oh wait, I did get one. It's the one where it kind of launches, you lunge, and mine's drop like little Telesto guys on the ground.
That's the one that I just mentioned. Yeah.
Okay, but they
Some
didn't
of them are
chase
bad.
somebody. Yeah, mine
Some of
wasn't
them
that
are
great.
bad,
Yeah.
and some of them are really crazy. I think the wave splitter frame that Ebontis got is probably going to be like the one to have.
Well, I
but
got a wave frame. The other one I got with that is powered heavy attacks emit projectiles that detonate with delayed void blast. So what's the pulse rifle? Graviton Lance. So it's Graviton Lance that follows things that die with the wave frame.
Crazy.
I've got a Wolfpack rounds one.
That's crazy.
Okay, I hear Wolfpack rounds one might be the
caster frame Wolfpack rounds. I've got that one. Hold on, I'm trying to see all the ones that I've got. I've got a solar Wolfpack rounds. That's an aggressive frame. I've got a
silly weapon.
Sacred Flame, powered heavy attacks mark nearby targets, causing them to explode on death. Striking marked targets with a light attack detonates them. That's a caster frame. Yeah, I've got both of those with Sacred Flame, and then I got Stormbringer. Rapid final blows create a lightning storm at the target's location. So if you're killing,
that one too.
Yep.
That one's cool. Yeah, but anyway,
some are better than others for sure.
Kind of like along the same lines as the class item, where like there's a lot of reasons to keep getting new versions, because I assume this is going to be part of the meta, just because swords have a really big part in DPS, and sometimes they can't always take your heavy slot. And like I said, special ammo is, I mean, that's like the ammo you're going. Like I think everybody in the raid had a special ammo scout. Equipped, because that was like more important than heavy in a lot of cases. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. And I also did my hunter playthrough after I'd beaten the campaign on my Titan, and I had a sword in my heavy slot and my special slot with Ergo Sum just for lols. I was like, how hard or easy will this campaign be if I only have one, the call and then 2 swords? Turns out it's pretty funny. I was
gonna say the artifact has like that sword return perk in the for like free ammo. If you get some rapid kills, you're getting ammo back too.
Yeah, and also the builds for double special right now are pretty crazy. Like I know Teddy told me he was using the call, and then what's the name of that other rocket sidearm that has a volt shot?
Indebted kindness.
He used it too.
So he had the call, indebted kindness, and then whatever, and heavy slot. And I was just like, dude, come on. That's like ridiculous. You don't have to aim with that. Like you literally could just shoot at people's feet the entire raid and not have to worry about ads. So it's pretty funny. I actually don't have indebted kindness, so I think I'm about to go back. I don't have one.
I don't have a good one. I have one, but I don't have the volt shot one.
That volt shot one helped me in Pantheon so much.
Speaking of volt shot, the raid bow can get volt shot on a bow finally, and I've been waiting for that for so long.
Oh, that's sick.
Like I mean, every headshot you're just I'm like, okay, that's amazing. Yeah, I've been waiting for that for quite a while. That one's coming. Trying to think what else. So we've got exotic mission we covered. Destination we covered, overthrow, digging that activity, and your farm. And that's the thing, you do overthrow, you can get an ergo sum, you could get a class item. You can earn stuff while you're just running around on the destination, and the destination just feels right. I feel like they tried the Lightfall destination to be harder.
Yeah.
And then now this one, like when you're running around, you're like, no, like a red bar does die in like 1 shot or 2 or something, depending on what you're hitting them with. It's not crazy difficult on patrol, but then when things crank up, it's like, yeah, you have bosses that can spawn. You just get enemies that spawn real quick in succession, and then that 3rd or 4th spawn, mini boss shows up, and you're like, oh, I gotta just kind of try and nuke him real quick. So it's they take the normal enemies, spawn them pretty quickly and frequently. So they kind of overrun you a little bit, but if you can manage that and then you spawn the big one, you're like, oh, I gotta pay attention now, as opposed to these are just bullet sponges like they are on Neomuna.
Nice.
What else? I'm trying to think through. Campaign, dig that the whole time. Mission.
Now we got new stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I know.
Then they did the they did the stream with the
Yeah, so the Journey
Yeah.
Ahead, that was Monday. So we got the tease that was coming right after kind of the raid was finished and the mission came out. Hey, the Journey Ahead. So the Journey Ahead pretty much walked through the 3 episodes that we're going to be getting. So they mentioned year 11 and or year 10, I should say. And the first one is Echoes. It's kind of what we jumped into right now with the Vex season on Nessus. I will say one thing about the season already that I've seen is the fact that you hit the fake progression wall. Hey, come
Okay.
back next week or come back
Next
later
week.
or
Okay, with
whatever
that,
it
okay.
is. And I don't know how long those are going to be spread out. We were kind of hoping it was going to be 6 weeks of content dropped. And I don't know. I'm not the only one who thought that. I know from reading and checking and other things like that. But there is time gating involved with these. There was a good cinematic to start. Don't get me wrong. There was a nice cinematic to get things rolling. But then you're doing some stuff with Failsafe, which is nice to see Failsafe back. She actually cracked me up. There was one of the lines where it was Saint and Failsafe talking, and she's like, "Oh, it's nice to have you on the battlefield," or something like that. And she's like, "Oh, you're much smarter than the Cade unit they sent me last time," or something. And I just busted out laughing at that little actual lol in that moment. She's got some good lines so far, so they had fun with her writing for this episode a little bit. Haven't seen anything more about the grander Vex threat, but there is some stuff going on. We're doing radiolaria and like farming plants and trying to like analyze samples with the computer. But we did actually connect Failsafe to the helm, which is cool. So we can interact with her there without having to go into her cave. There's a mission that launches, and that was one of the missions that was like, hey, you got to get your level up to do this. So I kind of I need to actually go finish that one now that my level's high enough to manage it now. But that's kind of the experience so far. Is the activity is decent, feels like a seasonal activity, but they use the actual destination of Nessus, but they kind of reskinned it. So they took the Nessus geometry, but with the reskin, it gives it a decently fresh feel. So it's different than the one where it was Season of the Deep, where it was the Titan like palette of object palette basically. This is the destination redone, which I think I like a little more.
Okay.
So they use parts of the destination for the activity, but they give it a different feel and look to it, which I think I like more than just like, here, some containers on the moon of Titan and stuff like that to go through. It's like either way, you're kind of, but I don't know why it just felt better to see the destination transform a bit. So I did enjoy that. If you're wandering around Nessus, the earthquakes are a little crazy. Definite screen shake in there. But so far, it feels like a season.
No Osiris for the Vex? Nothing? Nothing?
Oh, no, I mean, he's talking with
around?
Saint, but Saint's been a little more forward in this one, I think, so far.
Fair enough.
But I mean, Osiris is there. Like, Saint and Osiris had a chat, I think, on the radio, so he's in there. I just don't know who's going to be kind of taking the lead.
Keep my boy away to keep the rating high.
Oh, it's
damn.
Yeah,
It's sad. It's sad.
Osiris,
it's like whenever my boys involved, critically.
Yeah, Osiris brought the season down.
The game is lit. Oh,
but look, they get the best of both worlds. You get a really good campaign, and then you got this love story on the side, which is I will say, seasonal content.
Yeah, not there yet.
More of the same.
More the same. Fair enough.
We'll see. I mean, the best part about the seasonal content so far is first of all, Failsafe is still amazing. Great character. And then the image that they have of the episode of Echoes, that makes my brain go a lot of different places, and I'm excited to see if they can turn the Vex into an actually
I want to know what they do with the Vex for sure.
Because I'm sort of like, oh, what does that mean? What's happening there? But right now, like, it's like same shit, different day.
Yep.
It's it really is like whiplash to go from like the final shape where it's like, dude, and then welcome back.
Welcome back to the season.
Go ahead and do that 6 steps a week, dude.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping when I saw Act 1, steps 1 through 25, so you're gonna be able to. Nope.
Oh, Sanity's saying I need to see the opening cutscene. They're saying it's that good.
I mean, the seasonal cutscene's cool. I don't know. It's not like final shape cool, but it's better. It's cool. Yeah. I mean, as Travis said, it's like after the other, not the same.
Kind of repeats. repeats a lot of the beats of like Saint 14 and Osiris and their future together and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I get that it's recontextualized now that we've beaten the Witness and humanity is sort of like trying to figure out what they're going to do next. But I don't know. It was really like, okay, I'm gonna go back to the Pale Heart.
So in chat,
I'm not doing this.
Yeah, in chat, more of the same.
Do this, listen to the
Listen to the
hologram,
hologram, do this, listen to the radio, come back next week. Yeah. So it's like, so far, that's what I got. And I'm like, I was hoping for a little different cadence and delivery. We'll see. Who knows? But a second one is going to be based around Fickrel. And it's called Revenant, very fallen and scorn focused. Fickrel, being the immortal dude that he is trying to do some crazy stuff, because when the end of the campaign and then the raid and then the Excision mission happened, with the fighting of the light versus the darkness, there were pieces of like the Traveler basically that kind of shot out into the system to these destinations. So the first one for the Vex is Echoes. It landed on Nessus, hence part of the earthquake. And then when you start the first mission, you're kind of going a little subterranean, you'll see, and that's kind of where some of that goes. Second one is going to be the fact that Fickrel found one of these, and being as he's already the immortal kind of controller of the Scorn, and now he's got this much power, things are probably not going to go that well. So there's a little bit of development there. You can see that one's kind of in the works when you go through the Vidoc. They have a little bit more concepts. That one has some crazy, absolutely crazy looking armor and stuff involved. So you've got armor and weapons with Revenant that are, what is Baron Hunter, or I forget whatever your title is called, and you're one of the most powerful fallen if you're out there going to fight all these crazy things. So they got some cool armor, but they also have what almost looks like Bloodborne armor at one point in here that they're teasing that one again. And Sony, I was like, I don't know why Sony is ever going to like not do anything with Bloodborne. Like whenever they do, if they pull that thing out 15 years later, then they're going to have a hit, but who knows? There's some crazy looking weapons. It looks like Perfect Paradox, but like on absolute steroids. And then the one that looks like just you hold on to the two handles and got the really long red like spear point to it. That weapon, I don't even know what it is. Don't know what it does. Got to be an exotic. That will be really cool.
By the way, the reason Sony doesn't do anything with Bloodborne is because it's not up to them. They don't own Bloodborne or that company. And why the heck would you ever work on Bloodborne when you have Elden Ring?
I get that. I mean, it's a shame that they didn't do any, you know.
Kind of one of those, I feel like the investment by Sony would probably pay off with the hype that they would get behind it. It'd be one of those that I feel. But we got some
for FromSoft. Why would FromSoft do it?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Depends on how big the bag is all I'm saying. Anyway, so Fickrel's involved, very powerful second season. Looks pretty cool. Handle is Fickrel's original staff. The gem has been replaced by the Echo. This is like a concept art piece about the staff that Fickrel's holding. It even says like VFX treatment is new Echo visual language, kaleidoscopic, prism subclass colors, should feature Echo surround. Echo Sundog VFX when on screen. So you're like seeing some concept art, a little bit of looks at that, but it's really got the prismatic color to it. And then we get to, I think, the most interesting one, which is Heresy. We are going back to the Dreadnought, which for many of us is still one of our favorite destinations pre-Pale Heart because of the secrets and the exploration and lore and Oryx and all of that was involved, and we're going back. And one of the big ones is the armor is you're going to be a navigator. A navigator or a ship navigator to navigate space, potentially with all of this armor, and like the ship is like peeling back to like the bone layer and stuff. So you have an Eris armor set, which truly is just like Eris threw up on you, which looks really cool. But the bone armor set, it has the alternate kind of switched colors that the King's Fall weapons have. And then it just kind of gets to the point of joking, and I've seen kind of speculations where are we going to be navigating the ship to go out farther than the Sol system to go do something else for 2025 and codename Frontiers. I mean, Frontier, like, what is the Star Trek line that probably has that in its like space, the final frontier? I mean, come on, like, if that's not where your mind goes, then you haven't spent too much time around sci-fi, but That
Mhm.
is exactly where my mind.
Frontiers is Destiny 3, right?
Yeah, it's got
I
to
mean,
be, right?
it's that. Okay, that's what I want to ask you guys. What is Codename Frontiers? Is it an announcement of a sequel? Is it an announcement of an expansion timing that, hey, in 2025? Because I mean, if we're gonna get Codename Frontiers in 2025, that takes away from what we had previously talked about. Like maybe there's like 6 episodes, and then they have more time to work on something. I would be very surprised that they could pull something off in. I guess even if you did 18 months, it would put the expansion right back in like holidays, and then you're fighting with that type of stuff again. So it's
I don't think they care about that, but I do think that the only thing that makes me think it's not a sequel is because they very explicitly had the D2 logo.
I
It
mean,
said
that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
D2
That is true.
Frontiers. And so my thinking is maybe this is just their way of announcing like it's the same game. We're not moving on to another one because frankly, Bungie has shown that they don't really have an appetite for that. And hey, after Final Shape, maybe they don't need one.
Yeah.
Maybe they
Mm.
can just upgrade their they can upgrade their engine as they go. I've never really thought the engine is the problem, to be honest. It's more the content pipeline that's the problem, and the fact that they've kind of become a slave to annual releases, which clearly don't work for them, which is why we get 1 year of good content, 1 year of bad content, like really consistently. So I think they might just be announcing like what comes after the Darkness and Light saga. What is the next saga going
What's
to
the
be
next
focused
arc,
on?
yeah.
Who's gonna be the big bad? What's
Mhm.
the main conflict going to be? Why do we have to care about it? How is it going to be different? I think they'll also probably at that point announce like Prismatic 2.0, basically that like you don't choose a subclass anymore. You customize fully and it changes the game. So
That would be sick.
That'd be sick.
yeah, I think it'll be something like that. The only thing is they have to figure out a way to like handicap you if you choose one of the good supers. You can't
Yeah.
choose well, and then also
Yeah.
like I get it. Like I just don't think it should be its own subclass anymore. But like if you choose well, what are the disadvantages? What do you lose?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Because there's clearly some supers and some things that are just the premier choice, and they're gonna have
Yeah.
to figure out a way to.
Maybe
to
it's like you only get one aspect and 2 fragments. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Something
it
like
gives you
that.
less there.
Like you know,
I will
Yeah.
say
the
it's nice to be a
handicap
hunter,
becomes
and
your
the
weapon.
fact that when I equipped a couple of my aspects, I was like, I have 6 fragment slots. As a Titan, I feel like as a Titan, I always feel like I have like 3, maybe
3 or
4, and then these other
We have 5 or 6 this time.
Oh man,
Yeah,
in
there's a
well
Prism.
that's
lot of
nice.
fragments.
Titans always feel limited on that one. I feel.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can have 6 as a Titan. Actually, I think all of them have an option where you. And I don't think you can.
Oh, you're back. Okay.
I don't think you can have fewer than 5 on any of the classes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's like 21 of them. You got to kind of build up some synergies. But yeah, I mean, it does seem like it's got a Destiny 2 on the box. Codename is a little weird, but I wonder if
Codename
that's
weird.
like the first piece of whatever the new. Because this is the big thing. We're going to tell these individual stories. You're able to play them completely separate from everything else. That's
Yep,
what
out of
episodes
turn.
are going to be. But if it's Codename's Frontier, we're still going to stick with Destiny 2. The Witness is done. There's going to be these couple of things, but like we need a bigger arc to go after at this point. So
Correct.
these
Correct.
Yeah.
smaller
that's
individual
what it is.
stories, and
I
again,
think they
hopefully
learned-
that's the
I think
announcement of that.
I think that the announcement is the arc, and I think the reason it's a code name is because they learned their lesson about naming things before they were
Final Shape,
confident in
Lightfall.
their pipeline. Lightfall not having anything to do with light falling and being tonally completely different than what they originally planned is very funny. But yeah, I think it's probably smart, and I really hope. Here's my sincere hope: Bungie, don't do annual releases, please. 2 years is fine. People will come back. I think if there's anything you've learned, like if you can come back from Lightfall, you can come back from anything, man. So just take your time, put out the content when it's good. If people are less engaged with seasonal content, quite frankly, if the first part, Act 1 of this episode is anything to go by, I probably won't be super engaged with episodes, but you've proven that the expansions can be
Where it's
great
at.
when you guys have enough time to actually work on
Absolutely.
them. So
Yeah.
just like take the time, man. Take the time.
Yeah, I mean, when you go look at Metacritic or OpenCritic, I mean, OpenCritic sitting at a 94
That's insane.
for
right
Final
now.
Shape. I'm just going,
That is
"Oh."
insane.
crazy.
There was a point where people like it was the top rated game of the whole year. I'm like, Destiny?
That's
Hell
wrong.
yes. And I mean, when I get done playing it, I'm going, I'm not gonna argue with that point, but I'm still shocked beyond like
Yeah.
because I mean
This is the year of the expansion, right? Between this and the Elden Ring expansion, like I feel like the top competitors for game of the year are going to be add-ons.
Now,
You'll see
here's a
it too in
question.
the
Do you
vet
think
2.0.
Destiny Final Shape is nominated for things? Or do you think
No.
the hype by the time the game
Sadly.
awards get around?
Sadly, until they change the way the structure of the Game Awards is done,
Oh
they're
yeah,
still
Diablo
counting,
expansion too.
yeah, they're still counting Destiny 2 base.
Oh, Diablo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's another one. What is it? Vessel
That
Patron or
cinematic,
whatever.
man, their cinematic team, holy, like
Mhm.
Blizzard. I mean, they've always had fantastic cinematics back in like
Mhm.
D1 on a really crappy computer, but their cinematic
Even
team,
back then, they were crazy.
yeah, there's what was the Bink video? Was that right? I think that was what
Yes.
I remember that little logo. But yeah, their cinematic team is just on a crazy level. Now,
Insane.
granted, Bungie absolutely knocked their cinematics to another level. I mean, they hit it to the upper deck. It's just
Mhm.
Blizzard is like, we're taking it out of the park. But it was like Bungie
Yeah.
cinematics this time around, man. The one when you're done with the 7th mission, I love that cinematic. When you're running, and
It's a great cinematic.
Oh, and the
Running
thing,
away.
yeah. That's
and
crazy.
Crow comes out with the golden
Yeah,
gun.
yeah.
I was like,
Oh,
all right,
that's
here we go.
crazy. Yeah. That was some ones, man. That was
I will
really
say there
good.
was a moment where Crow pulled out an axe randomly and then chopped a hand and it seemed to do nothing. And I was like, that wasn't. Did you guys
I remember
remember
that
that
one.
moment? He
I
goes
remember
like
that
this
moment.
with his
Yeah, I was
arm
like,
out, like, yeah, I got this axe. And he jumps in the air and he goes, and it like
Yep.
does nothing. And the hand retreats. And I was like, I don't know about that. That didn't really. Everything else was cool, but Crow wasn't cool until he got his man bun. When he gets his man bun,
The
I
man
know
bun,
the
he got-
man bun in the end of the campaign.
he instantly becomes the way cooler. I mean, that was like.
With like
Hunter's
the little
dead, the drip.
chopsticks in there,
The little
basically.
chopstick with
Dude,
the
Yeah.
Oriental.
I
look.
was like, what? Ooh,
Look,
Crow.
and he's
Where
got
is
the
this
and
guy gonna be?
it took me a little bit because I
Dude.
was so focused on the button, and then finally I
too.
noticed what he was
No,
wearing in the
oh,
cinematic, and I was
drip.
like, "Well, it was the." I was like, he had the hunter. I was like, "Okay, that fits."
Hunter
It was,
Vanguard.
yep, it was great. That's the
Yeah,
thing. It was,
I will
there were a
say,
lot of those little moments everywhere that built everything.
Yes.
Just made it a little bit better every time I saw something else.
look,
Mhm.
we've got a Vanguard to represent Hunters, Titans, and Warlocks, but how do Exos feel now? Now that we got 2 Awoken and 1 human.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, man.
No
The
exo
Exos-
representation at the table.
This is feeling a little exclusionary. All right, that's all I'm saying. What's going on?
Look, you know who messed it up for them is Lakshmi.
Uh,
Lakshmi messed it up for everybody.
I was gonna
Trust
say
those robots,
Elsie.
right?
Elsie's got
Yeah.
stasis, right? She's an exo.
Yeah, Elsie's
Yeah.
good, Steve.
My theory is it's got something to do with what's going on with the Vex right now. They're like, I don't know if we could trust these.
We don't know if we can
robots.
trust them.
One of them.
Damn
One of
exos.
those people.
Too funny.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, it's like the future is interesting. I'm very curious where they do take
Mhm.
whatever the frontiers is when it comes to dates, and it's also kind of a question when it comes to if these seasons are 18 weeks long. We know they're a little longer in a season, but it's 18-ish, and they said 18, maybe 19, whatever. Might be a little
Mhm.
longer, a little shorter, but I don't imagine one to be like double that.
Mhm.
And if we're not expecting an annual release, we still have a chunk of time. And I don't
Right.
imagine them just always be like, here's Into the Light 2.0, Into the Light 3.0. So I'm kind of wondering how they
How they-
fill out these like 18 months when they need more time, because we want these expansions to feel like this. Take the 18 months, take a little bit longer, take whatever time you need to cook, and even if it's a little longer so there's less crunch. But yeah, I'm kind of wondering, that's why we were talking about like one more episode feels like even the time that they would need to build more, but so I'm kind of curious how they fill the in-between
The
time.
gap, right?
Because it feels
I-
like
I
state
really
of play or
hope-
something, or is where they would announce like what Codenames is. But
Mhm.
then, yeah.
I
don't know
really
what they
hope they foster a culture of not feeling like they have to fill stuff. Because the problem with
Yeah.
filler, that it's filler.
Yeah.
Right.
I
And
mean,
it
Into
feels
the
like
Light was a
filler.
fluke, I think. Into the Light, not that
Yeah,
it was a fluke, it worked
mean-
better than I think most people would have guessed.
It saved
Yeah,
them.
and if they want to keep doing stuff like that, like honing the tower defense game mode, or bring back the Pantheon mode and give like hardcore raiders to
Mhm.
do it, I think that's great.
Yeah.
I just don't know if we need like more seasonal content and more kind of like think about all the repeat story beats we had in the final shape because of all the seasonal content, right?
Mhm.
Like you guys are talking about the Zavala background information, which that was kind of a repeat of a season, and then we had the explanation of how the witness got created in the campaign. It was an explanation explained in a season, and
Mhm.
so I think there's I get your live service game engagement's important, keep people invested important. Well, I've always been a big believer of like the Final Fantasy 14 model of like,
Mhm.
you know, that game director is known for telling his players like, hey, when you're done with the content, just like go play other games and we'll tell you when to come back. Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? We'll tell you when we
Yeah.
have content. And
I
I
just
kind of think that there is a little bit of the heart grows fonder, right? With a
I was-
little bit of
yep.
yes, of course. No, of
yeah,
course.
and a little bit of like, hey, it's okay. It doesn't always have to be on.
Mhm.
But hey, Bungie, if you insist on making your players want to play Destiny at all hours, boy, do I have great news for you about PvP and its ability to keep people playing indefinitely. If that's
now.
what you want, that's the
Hey
way
now.
to do it. I
Hey
mean,
now.
that's the thing you should
It's
be
the
focused on if you
sustainable
want-
way to do it, because then you're
That's
just
the way to
doing
do it.
maps or modes and experimenting there, as opposed to
Mhm.
trying to build stories and voice acting and levels and missions and activities and all that stuff. They need to find that balance. They really do. So I'll be
Maybe
kind
their
of
plan is to tell people to go play Marathon for a little bit, and then they can ping pong back and forth between these two games.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
Mm.
that's, I guess, a little of a surprise too, because the hunch was that Marathon was going to be maybe a 2025 thing, and now we're going to have Marathon and Destiny kind of getting something announced in the same year, and we were thinking they might have space there.
Shout out to Clemson. He was on one of the raid teams that we did not complete with.
Shout out to Clem
Also
Chowder.
Clem Chowder. As I took to calling him during the
Nice.
Chowder.
So,
Nice.
yeah, shout out to him. Also shout out to Warren. I raided with him.
All
I
right,
raided
both.
with who did man, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting some people. I was on like 8 different teams across like 6 days of
He was
raiding, so-
working. He was trying to get it done.
Yeah,
I was trying to get it done, guys. Like I was not going to finish this review until I saw all the content.
I
and
respect that.
especially- I had to beat it. And
Yeah, I
so
respect that.
if you didn't beat the raid and you wrote a review, you know, I'm not saying
Not
I'm
that you're
better than
judging
you.
them or anything.
I'm just saying you're definitely not as good as me. I mean, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like
You're just not on that level. With your
yeah, you're not on my
incomplete self.
level. It's just fine, dude. I mean, look, we need reviews for all types. Yours can be the casuals review. Mine will be for people who play the game, but it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal.
Talk your talk. Talk your talk. You did that.
One thing to mention, I think I skipped over it a little bit.
Yes,
So
yes.
the Excision mission is going to be getting Grandmaster.
Ooh.
And they say it's going to be very hard, but the reward for
Mhm.
completing it will be totally worth it.
Nice.
I don't know what totally worth it is. I mean, are we talking a couple exotic drops? Because I mean, trying to keep 12 people
Is it
alive.
not match made?
It is
You
match
have
made.
to find 12 people.
No, it
Oh,
is
and the
match
new
made.
one is the new one match made. He's
Now, I
asking.
don't know if the new one's match made.
They don't
that's the
say
question.
here. It's. I
It's
mean,
not match made. That's kind of a tall order, dude. I
That's
can't
kinda
get
brutal.
12 people to come to my wedding, dude. That's like, that's-
you got a little more than
Dude, that's
12. You
Rango
got a
and
little
Cat.
more than 12, but yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Mhm.
So I will be, and that's next week. So we will see what
Yes.
that's all about.
A wedding? Oh,
The Grandmaster.
The
anyways,
Grandmaster
yeah, you'll
exit.
be all right. Yeah, you'll be all right. Zur also got a bit of a change last week. If you guys
Yeah.
saw my Zur video, he's got a couple of catalysts.
We
He's
all
got
watched
a
Zur
few more
video on
weapons.
I watched it 10 times. I
Yeah,
can't
I'm
get
sure
enough
you
of it.
did.
My
Yeah, totally.
favorite-
100%.
my favorite.
No, I was just gonna say it's more the change in the currency because it's all through strange coins. So they basically just wiped everybody's slate clean because legendary shards aren't there. And if you went to go buy an exotic last week and you had only been really just playing the campaign for a few days and you hadn't done any strikes or anything, you had goose egg, whole bunch of nothing. I had like 5 or 10 when I went to go
Yep.
check him the first time. So you only can
Did he
get
have
strange
anything good?
coins.
Did I miss out on anything? Or what?
No, nothing too crazy. He does have a reputation award, which is how you can get an exotic cipher if you do that. He's got the ability to buy basically a buff that can stack.
Yeah.
It stays for like 11 days. So if you buy it 1 week and then you buy it the next week, and then you can kind of stack this buff up. So when you're doing activities, they say it has an 11-day duration. You keep earning a strange coin favor each week. You will not only stack the effectiveness of the buff, and they say you can get up to 3 stacks, but that's probably for like a couple days, I guess, if you overlap it all. But you also refresh the duration. Oh, if you buy it, then you stack it again. So yeah, you can keep up to 3 stacks. So that way, when you're running ritual activities, which is the only place, Vanguard, Crucible, Trials, Iron Banner, Gambit, and Onslaught, that is the only place you're going to earn strange coins. So if you want to interact with Zur, or you feel like that's a place, because he's going to sell Catalyst if you don't have those, just random ones that come through.
That's good. That's good.
And if you're missing those, you get unlucky. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Still gonna have the 3 exotics. Gonna have like 3 weapons. Still a collection of some armor and some legendary weapons. You're also gonna have a place where it's just like miscellaneous strange coin. It's just like buy an engram for 1. And I was getting blue. I got an enhancement core, and I was like, all right, I'll stop. But it's different, and he's also in the tower and always will be now.
Yes.
So he's got kind of a permanent spot over there. But the loyalty of the 9 is the biggest thing. It's 47 coins that you spend within the course of like a weekend, basically. You'll get this buff, and then you need to start stacking it upon weeks. And then I'm curious, once you get to the full stack, what you'll be able to, like what the drops for the strange coins are going to be like. Because right now, if you run a strike, you might get 4. Crucible, you might get 2 or 3, depending on if you win, stuff like that. So it's not much. So I'm hoping if you get the thing stacked up, but then you're like, well, what if I go on vacation, then I lose my stacks? So that should never matter for your vacations. Please take vacation. They're good for you. But outside of that, Trials is also coming back this weekend, I think, too. So got a little PvP this weekend. And then I know Iron Banner's not too far around the corner. And then the list of known issues is longer than it's been in a while. So if you got an issue, go check. It might be on that list. I had one, I was doing overthrow on the blooming. And you know when you kill the little curse thrall that explodes and then you stand there and you get the buff? Somehow he got launched off the cliff. And then I saw down where he died, floating in the air, like just in the space. That was the little portal I needed to try and stand in, and it never despawned. I kept like running around, doing anything, driving going to the other side of the zone, because you'll get to because it was in level 3 or something, so I was trying to get to 4 and finish it. And then finally I went and I was like, all right, I found a couple of those like corrupted chests and maybe found something else, but yeah, there's some bugs right now. Yeah, I mean, it's been a hell of a 10 days, basically.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
I don't even know at this point, like, what to expect going forward for the seasons or the episodes, I should say, what these acts are going to be like. I know the artifact will expand as we go. Season pass will get a couple more, which you can preview those, start getting some of your ornaments and stuff that's in there. All of that's going to be over the course of like 18 weeks. So if you play consistently, getting up to level 200, not going to be that bad. I'm like level 60 something right now.
Damn.
Stacking bounties helped. I started at like 20. So,
bounty stacking cheeser.
Yeah.
I hope they get rid of your.
I really hope I hope they get rid of that too. That way I never have to do it again. I will be happy if it's just like
before the season.
Yeah, I was like, because I would love to just be like, oh, season's coming out in 2 weeks and I've done everything to do. Cool. That's it. I'll be ready when the season gets here. Not let me prep and save all the bounties so I can get a jump on this. No. I will be happy when they do that. Yeah, the meatball boss, so you can work on the Kava stuff, got fixed yesterday, so you can kind of do that one. That was one major issue.
I didn't even know he was broken.
Yeah, they turned him off for a little while because he was causing people all the motes of light they were picking up for Kvastov got ripped out of their inventory, and they didn't get whatever the next step of it was, like the golden mote. They weren't getting that, so there was a bad news bear situation there.
Oh damn.
And then I still need to get the heavy trace. That's but I'm getting up to a level now where I can start running those missions. So,
dude, I got Kostov without looking anything up, and all of the prismatic fragments and stuff.
Nice.
Which I think is like good, because usually they make it like nigh impossible, but you can kind of just look around and figure stuff out. Like I was showing you how to do the
I actually just noticed I have a little quest on my map for that, and I just had been ignoring it because I thought it was an Alone in the Dark thing with Micah 10. But it's one of those because another thing took me up there. I was like, oh, this is exactly what it is, and then it literally shows you how to do those. So they do a good job of continuing to give you just enough guidance to go find kind of the next thing to do. It's nice.
Yeah. The only part that I thought was cheap was I didn't realize that some of the chests were hidden in campaign missions and you can't find them. Just
Shout out to DJ to help me with that. Get me a couple of missing ones.
I found that out organically because I was like, wait, I was playing with D. And then we were doing a mission and I found one of the chests and I was like, wait, I looked here already. And then I was like, oh, I bet you it only shows up when you're in the mission. So
was that the one on the snow, the first one you found?
Yeah,
that one's,
exactly. I found that one and I was like, I looked here for sure. And so then I replayed every campaign level looking around.
Yep. I
That
found a
was super
couple of
fun,
ones.
man. I'm not gonna find like all the feathers and stuff like that. That seems
Mhm.
crazy, but like the fact that I was able to do all the cost op stuff felt cool, and yeah, man, it's great.
Yeah.
Control zone's
Dope.
cool.
One thing I will
Dope.
say, the Pathfinder for the Pale Heart, I really like it, actually. The early stuff's like getting weapon kills, which is naturally keep doing. And then there's little objectives on the map. So if you kill enemies multiple times, you get the mini boss to spawn. And it's got the icon right there. So you're like, I should nuke this area of enemies to get the mini boss to spawn. Pretty easy to take care of.
Nice.
If you need to do overthrow a few levels, it'll tell you where that's at. And it kind of mentions it on the map where you need to go. And I really like that. I went to go do the Pathfinder because I was trying to level up for the ritual activities.
Mhm.
Crucible right now is the focus playlist. The last two are one of two options, and it was like 100 or 100 and some odd void kills, like void damage kills. And I was trying to dig through void weapons. I don't have the greatest. That's what I ended up doing, and it took me a lot more Crucible matches than I would like to say, because you have to get final blow with the actual void damage. So you have to
Gotcha.
specifically be using void, not like I can't use a kinetic weapon like that I was thinking about using. So I had to go dig for that. The other option was to get 150 taken enemies killed. I tried to load up just the Vanguard playlist 12 times in a row, and I did not get a taken mission, and I gave up and I went back to PvP. So it was one of those two for the final ones to then get the Pinnacle and reset it. So it was just kind of like,
and it can't be the manual pick. It has to be part of the Vanguard.
I tried it.
That sucks.
I went into just Lake of Shadows and booted it up,
Yep,
shot a couple, and I was like, nope, still 0-0. Damn. So it has to be the Vanguard playlist and the rituals.
Thank you for telling me, because I would have probably did the same thing and wasted time. Yep.
No, I was playing PvP. Everybody was using Void. They were all doing the same thing I was. That's when everybody's doing the same thing. So the Pale Heart felt better because you just run around shooting stuff, doing things, and it just seemed to I would be doing random overthrow and things would just get done. Or I was going over here and I did a chest and I would finish up an objective, and it just seemed to naturally happen a lot more. I had to be very going to a strike with this weapon and get kills here with these. It was a lot more specific. It was like bounties, but even one more bullet point of specific. And I'm going little bit of balance between how good this feels versus how restrictive this felt, I guess.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because I think I had to go into Gambit with like solar weapons and then get kills. It was just very specific things. It was taking you places. I know they said they're going to get you out of your comfort zone a little bit, but one definitely feels way better than the other. That's all I'll say.
For sure.
Well, 2 hours and 17 minutes later, we've got a bit of a review here. Travis, with the official, you want to tell them the score that is sitting on the big website right now?
I gave it a 9 out of 10 on the IGN scale, which means amazing. It's the highest I've ever rated a Destiny expansion or a Destiny anything. They've come a long way since the 6 out of 10 I gave them with the original 2014 release of Destiny. And it's a huge bounce back also from Nightfall. But yeah, I think the talking about why it's not a 10, and I feel very strongly that it's not a 10. And it really has to do with the things that, because somebody pointed out to me like, hey, everything that's in Destiny, it seems like you like. So why isn't it a 10 if all the stuff that they built is great? And I would agree, like all the stuff is great. The campaign's great, raid's great, etc. Taking into account a 10 is you have to start looking at the stuff that the game isn't, right? What are the things that they, because my biggest problem with the final shape is it is extremely predictable in what you get. You know exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get a couple campaign missions. You're going to get a raid. You're going to get one new strike. You're going to get a patrol zone. And so it lacks a little bit of surprise. And it also, to me, a 10 masterpiece means that you're actually doing some new stuff we haven't seen before, and you're pushing the industry forward a little bit. And I still think Destiny is pretty far away from that. If there's one argument to make of where they push the industry forward it's in the live service model and the stuff they do there. I think they are leaders in that space, but I don't think the final shape really, a 10, there's a before and after with that game. Like it's a monumental shift in the industry. It moves the industry forward. And I still think this is the best we've gotten of Destiny so far. It's an amazing time, but I don't think it reaches that threshold of like moving the industry forward in any direction. It's very good at Destiny's level. It's the best they've done. And I would say that this campaign and expansion is not just good for Destiny, it's good in
love
the
when he says
ecosystem of
this.
games. It's
I
not a
love when he says
qualified
this.
success. It's like
Woo!
it's a really, really, really good game. Yeah, I think that's good, right? That it's not a 10. I mean, obviously, if it were a 10, that would be better for everybody. But I think it gives Bungie some room to grow, and maybe that's what Destiny 2 Frontiers will be, Project Frontiers. I still think that they have an opportunity to do something that's really special and game changing that pushes the industry forward. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that because they proved to me they can do a 9. And so now, guess what? Now, every time they release something, I'm going to be pushing them to do more and to top themselves again. And that's part of the problem with being successful is you now have moved the needle forward in what is expected of you and what people are going to be looking at you to accomplish in the future. And so I'm really looking forward to Destiny's 10. I think they can do it.
Yeah.
Big
No, I mean
words.
it is a bar that they have set upon themselves to now take whatever expansions drop in the future to come up to this. Now, that's going to be, I think, extremely difficult because we have a destination that was designed differently for a linear purpose to go from the entrance to the witness versus here's your circle. But it is showing what they're capable of, what the game is capable of, what the cinematics team can do, what they're creatively doing with some of these missions and mechanics, and the shooting is still some of the best in the whole damn industry. All of that comes together. I mean, I said it to Travis. I was like, hey, how's that 9 out of 10 do? And I was joking with him because I knew he was reviewing it, but I was like, in my head, it was a 9 out of 10 for me. It's not a 10 out of
Right.
10. Same thing. It's like, there are some things where it's like, it is hard to get a 10. For me,
Right.
like, the only one of the recent ones I've only ever thought, because I haven't played some Elden Ring's damn close, but Cocoon for me is just like, I got done and I was like, that's perfect.
Amazing.
I was like, done. Don't need anything else. It was not too much, not too little, but when I got done, it was like that last puzzle, my brain almost melted, and then I was like, cool, I got it, and then I was like, I was like, you could not have picked a better place to stop exactly what you were progressing, and it just felt about right. And this one feels like, okay, so missions were really cool, but as I said, there were a little bit here. There was so much they did right, but I mean, Travis phrased it well. It hasn't pushed the envelope. I think you actually said it best like a couple minutes ago when you're like, there's a before and after. This is just like the best Destiny expansion we've ever had. Easily.
Right.
In the whole world, the events, the story, the campaign, the raid, the exotic missions, all that comes together to be the Destiny's best expansion we've ever played as the Destiny fan base, and we have had an amazing time. But it's still within the Destiny fan base to a point.
Right.
And that's kind of the thing. When it breaks farther out of that, and it's like, damn, that's the new one. That's
when
kind
you
of
know, yeah.
That's
when you
the
know.
10. That's the
Asgard's
mass.
Wrath
That's the
2
tiers of the
Yeah.
Asgard's Wrath 2 was my 10 from last year, the only 10 I've ever given, and that game fundamentally does stuff that you've never seen with that medium and pushes the industry forward, and it really is like a before and after game when for VR, right? And so I think there are games like that. For me, I'm a little bit more judicious in the games I give a 10. And for me, Bungie would have to do something really special. But like I said, I think they can do it. And I think this proves they can do it. They have a super talented team. They're the team that made Halo, one of my favorite games of all time, and said, hey, we're going to try topping that. And then they made Destiny. And it's like that if you bet against Bungie, that's a bad bet. And I've been the harshest critic at times where they've deserved it, but they prove time and time again that when they're backed into a corner, this team delivers. And I'm excited for that. I don't want to take away from their accomplishment at all, why it's not a 10. But look, a couple weeks ago, we were speculating about what this expansion was going to be. And when I brought up, hey, what if it's a 9? What if it's a 10? We laughed at the possibility of it being
we were
a
like,
9.
relax.
We laughed. We literally laughed. We thought it was funny. We were like, okay, obviously it's not going to be that, but let's hope that they meet Witch Queen, right? That's where we were at mentally, where we thought it was funny, the idea that they could even possibly get a 9 out of 10. And I think all of us agree based on what we've played. I know you guys haven't done the raid yet, and I think that is an important thing for you to play before you come to your final verdict. But like, dude, it's a 9 for all three of us. Cog, who's always been the Zavala of this group in terms of believing in the Traveler, believing in Bungie. Me, who's been a little bit more Drifter-esque, right? And I think,
Yeah.
I think, I think the fact that it's a 9 for all of us and just seeing the positivity in the comments here and just from people online, like
Mhm.
that is a huge accomplishment that we should not understate. Because
Absolutely.
if we're tough on them for 3 years, we
We have
need
to
to
give
give
them
them the
their
kudos
flowers.
when they deliver and
Absolutely.
and show them that there is a win condition for
Yeah.
their player base,
Yeah,
right?
no,
This
that's
is the
fair.
win condition.
Yeah.
They won. Like this
They did it.
is fucking awesome, and we
Yeah.
should give them the kudos they deserve for that. But I'm still waiting for their 10, and I do believe they can do it.
Yeah, I think pretty much my thoughts are the same as a person who absolutely loves this game, loves Bungie. And, look, I'll be the first to admit, yes, I'm extremely positive for them, and I always have faith that they will come through. But I will admit, Lightfall did shake my connection to the Traveler. It broke my
Were you
faith
like
as far as-
Zavala?
Yeah,
Planted a
because I
seed
think
of doubt.
for me, yeah, the seed of doubt creeped in because it's one thing they've rebounded from bad content before. But it's another thing to not only have to rebound from bad content, your studio's future is on the line. You don't knock this out the park. Bungie as we know it may not exist. So for me, there was an emotionality to it that it's like, this is the game I love and I don't want it to go away. But as a realism that like, wait a minute, this is a tremendous pressure to knock a 10 out of 10 type of situation when you have to conclude a culmination of a saga that we've been playing for damn near 10 years. That is a lot of pressure. And let's not forget the vitriol this company has gone through with the layoffs and all the things and the rakes and things that they've gone through internally. So you've got the creative aspect to deliver pressure to do something good. Then you've got the real life aspect with people breathing over your neck. And then let's be honest, and I'm going to say it because it is true. There are people who want them to fail. There are people who do not like them. You know what I mean? And you have that contingent there, especially as a person who have loved this game as the greatest 6 out of 10 game I've liked. But I understand that there are people that are like, oh, Cog, why do you even like this game? Well, I can't wait for them to be assimilated and all this other stuff. So to me, it's proud dad moment because it's like, we all know you're capable of this, but to do it in these type of conditions is truly amazing. And I'm super proud of them. And I'm super proud to see, like Travis said, not just this is a great game. This is a great game outside of just it being for Destiny, right? This is now critically acclaimed as something special. And that is something that I'm super proud of them. And I'm always, will root for them and pull for them. Now, granted, this is the moment now when they have reached mountaintops and we tend to get the opposite reaction of coasting.
Hard to go anywhere but down when you're at the peak right now, right?
I want to keep their foot to the 5 feet to the fire there, but let's let them have this moment. Let's let them have this. They really cooked on all levels. Campaign, raid, in-game Avenger style moment, narrative beats, and really paid attention to detail to what it means to be a fan of this franchise. So yeah, absolutely spectacular. I can't wait to get back to playing and finally have some time to play in this game that I love, that do all the cool stuff that you guys have been doing. So salute to everybody that's been a part of the journey. I know Bungie listens to us a lot of times. And, also salute to one last thing. Salute to Farnsworth and the Into the Light team for putting substantial content during a time where they needed the delay and giving us really a nice build up into something else special. I thought that was also key, because if this delay doesn't happen and they are not afforded that time, do we get that same level of content?
No, I mean, I think from what you either hear or whatever, it's like that those months of polish and expansion and adding whatever they possibly could to make it that next level. We got what we got because I'm sure there was crunch and overtime and work involved, because even in the months we had with the delay, we know what we got took a hell of a lot of effort, however long it took to get made.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, it's like, shout out to the devs, you guys, as the entire team, from music, score, animation, combat, sandbox, prismatic, narrative, story. I mean, you took the whole studio and everybody that was working on this franchise, and from somebody who's spent a quarter of my life playing this game, and most of my marriage of my wife dealing with me playing this game and actually managing to bring it all to a culmination point.
Yes.
But I, for one, always you always worry about the last season. Can the finale be good? Do you wrap things up too quickly? But they managed to do it so well. I was pretty blown back. I was like, yeah, you can poke and have a few tweaks and things here, and that's why for me it's a 9 out of 10. But for me, that is like I could not have asked for much more out of this.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy we got everything that we did, and just hats off to everyone at any point in the past years who was part of making this release happen, because as you said, the buildup was important for us to have the excited energy leading into this thing. Prismatic maybe coming out of the, like, who knows, to see if that was actually going to be a subclass that worked or not. We'll never know, and that's not something we're supposed to know. It's like they made it happen and it did. And now, as Travis said, we've seen what the subclasses can be. Like, now we have hope for what our Guardians get to actually be like in the future when we get Prismatic 2.0, and you just take that little subclass node and merge it into one, so you just get to play with that all the time. The future has a lot of possibilities now, and I'm very curious where they go with everything that they've done. But I would say at this point, we have, cheers. And I was like, if I lived up in the Pacific Northwest, I would be like, please let me buy a few of you guys a drink, because 10 years, that's absolutely amazing that they landed that plane. And now we get to see where they take out, where the next destination is on Frontiers.
Absolutely.
I think that's a great place to wrap it up. Travis, thank you. I know worked your ass off on that review. So glad you were able to get it out. Glad you got the raid done. Glad that kind of came together, because I put the feel.
Glad we got to do dual Destiny.
Yeah,
together.
that was fun.
It was pretty fun.
I recommend you playing it with Cog blind, because it's cool to see somebody do it blind after having played it, and then I've seen a couple people do it a little more blind. It's fun to see the blind. So I recommend do a little LFG, take an hour out of your day, play with somebody. But yeah, I was like, anything to wrap up before you guys go?
The video version of my review.
Where's that going?
Probably, I think the Australia team is editing it, so I think they got online. They got online like 30 minutes ago. So it's probably starting to go into edits now, and then it'll be live either tonight or sometime tomorrow. For those of you who don't want to read and watch it on YouTube instead. The written version is more detailed though. So when you see me skip over weapons entirely, just know that I have word limits on the video version. Other than that, I'm working on some cool preview stuff I can't really talk about, but it is exciting games that may or may not have been brought up in this very podcast. I'm excited to talk about those things. And I don't have another review right now. I'm just going to be playing more Destiny after this and hanging. So
nice. Yeah, it's just same thing, more games and more coverage, and obviously coming back from Summer Games Fest, and getting a chance to check out some things. So look out for some coverage that we'll be doing in reference to Replaced and Stalker and a couple other games. Got a chance to get our hands on, so stay tuned for that. And just finally now settling back after multiple weeks of traveling, seeing this gentleman and hanging out and doing all that stuff was really cool. And looking forward to getting back into Destiny full time again. I missed my game, and now I get a chance to get back into the mix again. So what about you?
Cool to see you at the show season. That's been fun.
Yes,
I wish I could have gone.
So
my company put on a part of the show, and I couldn't even be there.
I know. I was like, damn.
And do you know why I couldn't be there for it? Because Bungie decided to do the raid at the most inconvenient time possible.
And they still had almost 500,000 people watching that raid during
all
of E3 and everything. And I was like, damn, they crushed it.
Just
surprise after surprise. I think I would just say like pleasant surprise the entire way through, and ending with the tears. I was just like, damn it, guys. Damn it, Bungie. Yeah, for me, it's like, for me, I've got about 4 different demos that I want to play from Steam Next Fest before it turns off. Check out Sworn. That's definitely one I put a lot of time into, like before most people have even been able to play it. I've been playing it for a while, but the demo is live right now. That one has, I think, a lot of potential if you enjoy the roguelike style. Flintlock, that demo's out there. That's the It's like gunfire Souls-like, and you'll kind of understand as you play through why. But so far, that one's actually been fun. Looks pretty cool. And then Altars, I want to play that demo. That one looks... I love the concept of that one. With the big giant tire vehicle that you drive around everywhere, and the cloning and the different personalities to make everything. There's like Creatures of Eva and then a couple other ones. But yeah, there's quite a few demos I want to play. And that's the annoying thing. Same thing. Why is Steam Next Fest during like Destiny launching this week paired all of a sudden now with the SGF? I'm like, I don't have enough time.
It's not enough time. Too many games, bro.
Not quite. No, it's more Souls, I would say, than Remnant. It's not shooting. It's just they use the idea of gunfire for explosions and stuff for... You'll see when you play it. So check it out. The demo's free on Steam. But yeah, gentlemen, thank you. Chat, you guys have been amazing. If you watch the show or you listen to it later, if you enjoy the show, wherever you watch it, leave us a positive review, a like, sub, go read Travis's review, go check out ILP, Defining Duke, and all that. If you are... Thank you for who is ever clicking the button. If you're listening on audio, whether it's any platform that the RSS feed gets out to, positive reviews there help as well, so more people can find us. And to all of you, thank you very much for this episode. It's a special one, and we'll see you guys coming up soon. So
for episode 300.
300.
Well, for this episode 299, it has been the last word.
Last word.